Chapter 931. In the chaotic boundless world. The demon abyss was one of the most dangerous places in the chaotic boundless world since ancient times. It was formed by a huge lifeless planet. The entire planet was made of black rocks. On the surface, there was a cave of unknown depth at every certain distance. It was like an abyss that connected directly to the core of the planet. The interior was crisscrossed and interconnected. In every abyss, the deeper one went, the stronger the gravity and the thicker the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The entire planet was like a hollow sculpture that was carefully carved by a supreme immortal. There were no ferocious beasts in it. With the thick spiritual energy of heaven and earth and the lack of any ferocious beasts, this should have been a holy place for cultivation. However, it was listed as a dangerous place by the chaotic boundless world. This was because any cultivator would lose their sense of direction once they entered any cave on the surface. No matter how strong their senses were, it would be useless. This was one of the reasons. Secondly, once a cultivator entered, no matter how far they went, they would be further away from the surface. The gravity would also increase. This gravity not only affected the body but also the soul. When one could not bear it, one could only stop. Retreat? Here, retreating was advancing, and advancing was also advancing. It would be difficult to advance or retreat. Unless one broke through the limit and continued to move forward, one would only be trapped and die or be rescued by an expert. The only way to step out of the demon abyss was to go to the deepest part of the demon abyss, the core of the planet. Once a cultivator could reach the core of the planet, no matter where they went, they could easily reach the surface. These characteristics of the demon abyss made it a dangerous place. Only cultivators in the later stage of the Daluo Golden Wonderland dared to enter. Those who were not in the Daluo Golden Wonderland would definitely die. However, even so, there were many cultivators who entered the demon abyss. They were even stronger than some of the holy places. This was because the demon abyss had even more mysterious things. The black rocks that formed the entire demon abyss were very rare. However, they were not precious because they could not be used for refining weapons and could not be fused with any precious materials. However, their density was extremely shocking. A piece the size of a fist was at least 10,000 kilograms and was extremely hard. The most special thing was that this rock contained a mysterious pulling force. It was as if it could connect the 9 heavens and 10 lands. It had a pulling force that could connect time and space to powerful heavenly punishments. This caused the entire demon abyss to be filled with Dao marks. Because of this, the demon abyss had become a treasured land for many Daluo Golden Wonderland experts to seek immortal fate. Even the powerful Supreme Hongmeng would occasionally come here to try his luck, hoping to encounter powerful and profound Dao marks. Similarly, the demon abyss was named as the origin of immortal opportunity. It could be said that many peerless absolute arts in the primal chaos boundless world originated from the increasing number of Dao marks in the demonic abyss. 230 years ago, Qin Hao, whom Zhao Giyu, Li Mubai, and 112 other Daluo Jingxian experts considered as immortal fate, escaped from the core of the demonic abyss. Whether it was Qin Hao or Li Mubai, neither of them had expected that after a strand of Li Mubai's primordial spirit went back to inform his master, it would cause such a huge commotion. At this moment, the core of the demonic abyss where Qin Hao, Zhao Giyu, Li Mubai, and the others had left was shrouded in a heavy and majestic pressure. Hundreds of people had gathered here, shrouded in immortal light. Among the 100 people, the weakest aura was at the peak of the late Grand Mist Supremacy realm, and there were 30 Dao-cutting true immortals. In the vast universe galaxy, any one of these experts was a big shot who could shock a region. Usually, it was not easy to see one of them, but now there were hundreds of them gathered together. Chi. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement and shock as they stared at the black whirlpool in the center of the hall. It was only 10 meters in diameter and was emitting a sizzling sound. Many powerful divine senses were integrated into the black whirlpool, trying to sense the aura of the black whirlpool. However, they soon gave up and looked at an old man with the strongest aura, who was also the closest to the front. Elder Tian, this is indeed a remnant of the Milky Way tunnel. Only extremely powerful true immortals or even true immortal kings can open and connect it. Or perhaps, it's a supreme-grade celestial artifact. Those who possess a supreme-grade celestial artifact are at least 9th-level true immortals. The old man with the strongest aura suddenly looked at the other old man beside him and said in a deep voice after probing for more than 10 minutes. Splash. A true immortal king. A true immortal king. There are only a few of them in the chaotic universe. Yes, this demonic abyss is indeed the origin of immortal opportunities. It seems that we have to come here more to try our luck in the future. A supreme immortal artifact is even rarer. The silent crowd suddenly burst into a discussion and exclaimed in amazement. As expected, the elder called Elder Tian frowned and murmured, as if he was still hesitating about something. This Milky Way tunnel has long lost the support of its creator, but it has been maintained for hundreds of years without disappearing. The fusion of the immortality mystery and the devouring mystery in it is really perfect. Even I can barely do it. This person is not simple. Even if he is not a true immortal king and opened it with a supreme immortal artifact, his strength is not something that the supreme of Hongmeng can contend with. The elder called the sect leader stroked his long beard and looked at the hesitant Elder Tian. He said meaningfully, "The immortal opportunity that you mentioned should be the mighty person who opened the Milky Way tunnel. Through this Milky Way tunnel, we may be able to find a great thousand world that is about to collapse. This is undoubtedly the best. However, all the powerful existences that were led to the demonic abyss and left behind Taoist marks basically came from outside the chaotic universe. That was why there was such a speculation. Could also be an intact great thousand world. Whether it's strong or weak we can't be sure, but at least it's not weaker than our chaotic universe. This is definitely not something that our Hunyuan sect can take on alone. However, as long as we catch the mighty person with the immortal opportunity that you mentioned, we can ascertain some things. This is the opportunity that you found, so you can get 10% of any harvest. Tell me the details." Elder Tian took a deep breath and said, "Forget it, this might be an existence that I can't contend with at all. My disciple, come out and tell me." After Elder Tian finished speaking, a wisp of primordial spirit, which was extremely weak in everyone's eyes, suddenly flew out from between his eyebrows. The primordial spirit shadow condensed. Who else could it be but Li Mubai? Disciple Li Mubai greets the sect leader, master and all the seniors. Li Mubai bowed and said excitedly. In the Daluo Golden Wonderland, although his talent and potential were extremely strong and he was also a rare genius in the Hunyuan sect, where geniuses came in large numbers, he was very ordinary. He was not bad, but he was not outstanding either. When he encountered a powerful immortal opportunity, he just wanted to report it to his master, but he did not expect that it would cause such a big commotion. Chapter 932. Later, his master told Li Mubai that the scripture was definitely not inferior to the three great immortal scriptures of the chaotic universe. The three great immortal scriptures, the Desolation scripture, the Celestial Emperor scripture and the Chaos scripture, what kind of concept was that? That was the supreme unique skill that the cultivators of the chaotic universe dreamed of, a legendary existence. Later, Li Mubai was taken by his master Tian Wanxiang to the demon abyss first. He wanted to explore the Taoist mark left by the immortal fate and then make a decision. Because Tian Wanxiang felt that the immortal fate was not as simple as Li Mubai and others thought. Even he might not be able to subdue it. Sure enough, the groove where the immortal fate had transformed into the big stone had turned into a horrible black hole. The aura and mystery contained in it made Tian Wanxiang, who was at the peak of the late stage of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, feel shocked. That was clearly the Milky Way tunnel that connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths. How could Tian Wanxiang compete with the existence that could open up the Milky Way tunnel? Even though Tian Wanxiang could confirm through Li Mubai that the immortal fate must have entered a special state of cultivation and turned into a big stone, its consciousness must have been awakened. Otherwise, it would not have escaped on its own to seek luck and avoid danger when Li Mubai and others found it. Like disciple, like master. Li Mubai knew that he could not compete with Zhao Giyu and others, so he informed his master. And his master determined that the immortal fate was powerful and dangerous. So he informed the sect master of the Hunyuan sect where he was. That was the reason for the current scene. But at the beginning, Tian Wanxiang did not explain in detail. He only told the sect master that he had found a suspected Milky Way tunnel. Because he still had a glimmer of hope. Unfortunately, the sect master's short analysis and judgment dispelled his idea of monopolizing it. Only then did he release a wisp of his disciple Li Mubai's primordial spirit. This was undoubtedly a good thing for Li Mubai. This was a great opportunity to show his face in front of the sect master and many elders of the sect. No need to be so courteous. Tell me the details. The Hunyuan sect master said in a deep voice. Yes, sovereign. Li Mubai was respectful and reverent. His voice was loud and clear as he recounted how he had ventured into the demon abyss with the 112 elites of the academy and how he had discovered the immortal opportunity in the deepest part of the abyss. He even recounted the scripture that the immortal opportunity had recited. At this moment, both the sect leader of the Hunyuan sect and the experts of the Hunyuan sect widened their eyes in shock. Soon after, many of them slowly closed their eyes and digested the contents of the scripture in their minds. Obviously, there was a problem with the time Chen Hao had estimated. With the speed of a wisp of Li Mubai's primordial spirit, he had rushed back more than 10 years in advance. At this time, Chen Hao and Chen Hua were rushing to planet 2046. With the speed of Li Mubai's primordial spirit, 3 Dao Severing perfected immortals, and 1 Hongmeng supreme, it would take them at most a year to reach the Sky River sector. There was very little time left for Chen Hao. Unfortunately, Chen Hao did not know this. What Chen Hao also did not know was that when he had fought with Xiaoyan, he had triggered the real heavenly punishment which had shattered the void. Moreover, the mysterious immortal artifact in his mind had opened up a Milky Way tunnel and erased all traces of it in the vast universe galaxy. However, it had left traces in the demon abyss, which had not disappeared after so many years. It was like leaving a seed in the chaotic universe that led to the chaotic universe. Zhoush. Chen Hua's private battleship shuttled through the void at a terrifying speed. Professor Chen, I want to know what is going on. Inside the battleship, on the huge display screen in the control room, a group of leaders and generals of the vital planets in the Sky River sector had gathered. The leader of the Longhua planet asked with a grave expression. In the past few days, it could be said to be soul-stirring and full of changes. It had been 3 days since Chen Hua had secretly sent a message to the Alliance military and the leaders of the planets to not act rashly as soon as he learned that Li Mubai had sent back a message. Professor Chen, you are our respected godfather of science, but this concerns the safety of the entire Sky River sector. We have the right to know the truth. How did you know that the other party had sent back a message? Phew. Chen Hua let out a long breath and said, I'm sorry, leaders and generals. The previous situation was critical. It was not that I didn't want to report it, but I couldn't. Now I officially report it. Please forgive my selfishness. Selfishness. Everyone frowned when they heard Chen Hua's words. From the beginning until now, when had Chen Hua ever had any selfishness in his life? With Chen Hua's achievements in science and technology, if he had any selfishness, it would have been easy for him to launch a coup d'état in the Sky River sector. However, he had always adhered to his identity as a scientist and had never changed from the beginning to the end. This was the real reason why all the leaders and generals were so respectful to him. Chapter 933. The so-called immortal destiny of the extraterrestrial beings is my son. What? Chen Hua's words shocked all the heads of state and generals. If not for the fact that Chen Hua looked calm and normal, they would have thought that he had gone mad. Was this possible? Others might not know about Chen Hua's son, but who among them did not know? He had been pregnant for 3 years and he had been in a deep sleep ever since he was born. Back then, the heads of state had tried their best to find medical experts and divine doctors, but to no avail. That was 10 years ago. Now, although no one mentioned it, they more or less knew about Chen Hua's son's current situation. How could this be the immortal destiny of the extraterrestrial beings? When I confirmed this, I was also very shocked and did not want to believe it. But this is the truth. The recording I took out earlier was actually the scriptures that my son recited all the time. It was very similar to Taoist scriptures and Buddhist scriptures. However, there were changes. Although I do not understand the laws of the divine abilities of the extraterrestrial beings, I know that no scripture can be easily changed. The difference of one word can be as great as the difference between heaven and earth. If it was really a scripture that I had mixed together, there was no way I could have fooled them. I'm sorry, but I did not want to hand over my son at that time. He was my only child with my wife. But I could not betray the billions of people in the Sky River sector for my son. So my previous speculations were not completely selfish, Chen Hua said in a low voice. Previously, when I wanted to evacuate with my son and family, I left a recording with the director of Longhua Sanatorium. If the Sky River sector is truly in danger, I believe that you will be able to find him through the extraterrestrial being Zhao Qiu. I told them everything in the recording and clearly told them that I had taken the immortal destiny with me. I also said that I could monitor the situation in the Sky River sector at any time through technological means. If they were to act recklessly, I would destroy the immortal destiny. I also promised that if they could find me, I would negotiate with them on the terms of giving the immortal destiny to them. This was only to buy time for you to evacuate, and it was not a long-term plan. But that was all I could do at that time. Professor Chen, then how did you know that the extraterrestrial beings had already sent back news? One of the heads asked. It was an accident. When I returned to planet Longhua and left with my son and family, I didn't expect to encounter an alien being hiding in the Sky River sector. He wanted to hijack my private battleship and rush to planet 2046. Unfortunately, he had already used up a lot of energy and underestimated the power of my private battleship. My private battleship was equipped with the most advanced equipment in the Sky River sector and many of the top equipment that hadn't been used by the military. Not only did I fail to kidnap him, I even took control of him. The news came from him, so it should be true. Xianxia told the story that he had prepared beforehand. Even though he didn't want it to be like this. But this was the other son, the powerful Qianhao, who had to keep it a secret for the time being. Professor Chen, tell me, what's your decision now? Our decision will affect the future of billions of lives in the Sky River star field. Although Longhua planet's ruler couldn't bear it, he had to make a statement first. We will use the 10 planets near planet 2046 as our base. Based on the principle of proximity, we will gather the elites, natural people and semi-natural people from all the vital planets and prepare to escape Sky River sector at any time. The military will stop all actions and is not allowed to use force. I will hand over my son. Qianhua's face flashed with determination as he said in a heavy voice. Professor Chen. At this moment, the rulers and generals of all the vital planets couldn't help but cry out. There was no doubt that this was the result they wanted the most. If Qianhua didn't do it, they might have taken measures to force him to do it. But Qianhua took the initiative to say it, which made them deeply feel Qianhua's greatness. Who could truly be ruthless in the face of righteousness? The rulers and generals present felt conflicted when they thought about sending their beloved children and the continuation of their lives to the tiger's mouth. As parents, only when they became parents could they understand how selfless a parent's love was. They would rather sacrifice themselves than let any accident happen to their children. Do as I say. Bring all the alien beings controlled by the military to planet 2046 and send them to our designated land of immortal opportunity. I'll be there soon, Qianhua said in a low voice. At this moment he was acting very realistically and no one could see any flaws. But this was the only time he felt the most ashamed in his heart, and it was also against his will. At the end of the conversation, Qianhua's private battleship penetrated the dark clouds and landed directly on the mountain where the immortal opportunity was disguised. Honey, what are you doing? Where did we land? When Qianhua ordered 2 aliens to take away Qianhao, who was in a deep sleep, Fan Zhen asked in a trembling voice. In the past 3 days, Fan Zhen had felt a trace of uneasiness from Qianhua's silence and unwillingness to explain. Zhen, for the Sky River sector, we have no choice. Believe me. Our son will be fine. Didn't you say that our son is extraordinary? I believe that we can survive this disaster. At this moment, Li Mubai's figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone, causing Fan Zhen and the others to cry out in alarm. Don't worry, I'm just taking him as a hostage. As long as you take me away after I get the immortal opportunity, I can guarantee his safety. Li Mubai smiled and said, I'll do it myself, Qi. Li Mubai pointed at Qianhao, who was in a deep sleep, and Li Mubai lifted him up by the waist. Devil. I'll kill you. Fan Zhen rushed up like a madwoman. Lu Kai also rushed out at the same time. Just as the little nurses Lu Qian and Lu Hui were about to go all out, Li Mubai, who was carrying Qianhao, suddenly disappeared. Fan Zhen screamed at the top of her lungs. Qianhua, why didn't you stop him? Why? Fan Zhen sat on the ground dejectedly. Her face turned pale, tears filled her eyes and her body trembled. I'm sorry Zhen, we had no choice, Qianhua said with heartache. What the hell is going on? I don't feel any danger. Could it be that most of my attention wasn't focused on dealing with the extraterrestrial life? Dad is weird. Could it be that he's being controlled by the extraterrestrial life? What's going on? Qianhao, who was awake and in his second life, racked his brains but still couldn't figure it out. Chapter 934. When Li Mubai tried to take control of Qin Hua's soul, he clearly sensed that the chanting power in his mind had disappeared. His powerful perception confirmed that Li Mubai hadn't succeeded. But later, when he sent out energy to heal his mother and reminded Qin Hua of the problem with the flight route, he was puzzled. What had happened between the two of them? Qin Hao's second life felt that Qin Hua was deliberately hiding something from him. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't imagine that the one who was hiding all this was himself. One connected soul origin, two independent soul consciousnesses. Unless Qin Hao's original body undid the seal, he wouldn't understand what was going on. So fast, Qin Hao's second life was being carried by Li Mubai. His powerful perception allowed him to clearly sense how fast they were flying. Even if he had sensed extraterrestrial life forms by chance, they couldn't compare to Li Mubai's current speed. Of course, Qin Hao's second life didn't know that the one occupying Li Mubai's body was his original body. Whoosh. Buzz. Soon Li Mubai brought him into the huge deep mine. To his surprise, Li Mubai disappeared into thin air again. What surprised him even more was that at this moment, there was a loud buzz in his mind. After that, he clearly felt that his body had undergone a strange change. In an instant he had turned into a pitch-black boulder. At the same time he emitted a dazzling and resplendent light. At the same time he opened and closed his mouth and suddenly emitted a vast and mighty sound. The sound of the Tao. Buzz. 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 At the same time Planet 2046, with the mine as the core, radiated a dazzling divine light. Unfortunately, whether it was the satellite surveillance deployed by the Alliance Army tens of millions of miles away from Planet 2046, the non-humans who were carrying out mining missions on Planet 2046, or the media personnel who rushed over from the habitable planets closer to Planet 2046, none of them could see or monitor it. But they could hear a sound that shook people's hearts like the evening drum and morning bell. It sounded like the chanting of scriptures, but no one could hear the specific words. Tao voice condensed into qi. This caused all the humans who heard this strange sound wave to look in the direction of the source of the sound in shock, as if they were in a daze. Not long after, a strange phenomenon that had never appeared on Planet 2046 appeared in the sky. The dark clouds broke apart and thousands of rays of light bloomed. 5 days later, all the bases on Planet 2046 began to land countless civilian aircrafts from the major planets of the Sky River sector. Some of them were tourists who came to visit out of curiosity after seeing the news broadcast by the #1 media outlet, while others were staff members of the media. But no matter who it was, when they came to the surroundings of the enormous abandoned mine that was similar to the Tao scripture and Buddhist scripture, they were all shocked and excited. But after a short while they would completely quieten down and become motionless. A miracle. What a miracle. What was that sound? Another miracle. Planet 2046 has been mined for more than 3,000 years, and the surrounding environment has long been severely damaged. The atmosphere has long been shrouded in dense dust particles. At this moment the dark clouds have actually broken and the multicolored light is blooming. Ladies and gentlemen, we will rush to Planet 2046 as soon as possible. Do you hear me? What kind of sound was that? It was indescribable. Did you see that? Thousands of rays of light. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can hold on and continue broadcasting. This sound is full of endless magic and this multicolored light seems to be cleansing my soul. Smack. The screen suddenly shook and the broadcast ended. The media staff members who rushed here almost all held on for less than half a minute before they fell into a daze. In other words, they were in a state of ecstasy and forgot the work at hand. These people were able to come here naturally because the heads of the major planets and generals made it convenient for them. This was to allow the extraterrestrial beings who were hiding in the major planets to arrive smoothly at the fastest speed. Celestial light lingers and the sound of Tao breaks through the sky. Immortal fate. It's immortal fate. In a civilian aircraft, a young man who had just walked out of the cabin looked at the void excitedly. He resisted the urge to fly and quickly avoided the crowd. Immediately, he turned into a stream of light and rushed to the distant mine. Very good. It's still here. I will definitely be the first to arrive. Phew. Fortunately I came in time. 10 days later. Great, I didn't expect that I would be the first to arrive. But this is my opportunity. No one can take it away from me. An extraterrestrial life form who was originally hiding on a life planet far away from planet 2046 thought that by the time he arrived, his companions would have already taken the lead. But what he didn't expect was that he, who had only arrived after half a month, would immediately hear a vast and profound Tao sound. Majestic celestial light filled the void for tens of thousands of miles. How could he not be excited? It's the 32nd. No one knew that Qin Hao's second life, which had transformed into a black stone, was becoming more and more excited. When the first extraterrestrial being came to refine him, but was absorbed into his stone form and disappeared, he had already figured everything out. This was the doing of most of his mind, which even he himself couldn't understand. Qin Hua's private battleship was quietly suspended in the void millions of miles away. The huge display screen in the control room had already been connected to the satellite monitoring image from all angles. The entrance of the mine and everything within 100 miles of the mine could be locked onto. Qinhua, how much longer do we have to wait? It's been a month. In a short month, Fan Zhen had become a lot more haggard. She stared at Qinhua and asked without hiding anything. She didn't even call him husband and directly called him by his name. Beside her, Lu Hui, Lu Qian and Lu Kai are also stared at Qinhua. In a month, the three women were already on the same side as Fan Zhen. They didn't hide anything from Qinhua. But deep down they also knew that Qinhua was forced to do this. The extraterrestrial being's mystical ability wasn't something they could go against or contend against. What could Qinhua do? Don't worry. Wait a little longer. Believe me. Hao will be fine. Then tell me, what was that sound? What was that multicolored light? This isn't the scam you planned. What are you hiding from us? Why can't you tell us? Fan Zhen asked again. Cough cough. Our son is very special. He's an extraterrestrial being. You know about the so-called immortal fate. I can only tell you that Li Mubai can't control Hao. He's an immortal fate. He's an immortal fate that Li Mubai and the other extraterrestrial beings didn't hesitate to chase after for hundreds of years. He's very powerful. Although he can't wake up, no one can harm him. We're fine because I'm sure it's Hao Er's doing. The sound and multicolored light that appeared now might be related to Hao. I can only say this. Zhen, can you stop asking? Have some patience, okay? Trust me a little more, okay? In the past you trusted me without a doubt. In a month, Qinhua was almost driven crazy. At this moment he finally couldn't hold back and tactfully revealed a little bit of information. Moreover, he succeeded. Because the sun in his mind didn't stop him. Chapter 935. The immortal opportunity is still here. 2 months later, the last extraterrestrial life form in the Sky River sector finally arrived. At this moment, Zhao Guiyu and the others who were under the control of the Alliance military had all entered the mine, but they never came out again. The boundless immortal light, accompanied by a vast and majestic Tao sound, made this cultivator so excited that he couldn't control himself. A summoning power that came from the depths of his heart made him clearly feel that this immortal opportunity was definitely a great opportunity that belonged to him. Even he himself didn't realize that before coming here he had been prepared to fight and kill. However, at this moment he had thrown all those thoughts to the back of his mind. The only feeling he had was that the immortal opportunity was calling him. This was definitely a great opportunity that belonged to him and only he could get it. Little did he know that all the extraterrestrial life forms that had appeared before him had lost their minds after arriving here, just like him. They didn't even know it. An hour later, the tourists and media personnel from the Sky River sector, as the multicolored light and the Tao sound disappeared, woke up one by one, their faces flushed and full of energy as if they were in a dream. When they learned the current time, everyone was shocked. 2 months. For 2 whole months they didn't eat or drink. They just stood there and it felt like an instant. What was even more amazing was that not only did their bodies and spirits not feel any discomfort, but they also felt more energetic than ever before. Some people who had chronic diseases felt extremely relaxed, and their chronic diseases had all disappeared. During these 2 months, everyone saw a person surrounded by a 7-colored halo sitting cross-legged. Unfortunately, it was too blurry and they couldn't see him clearly. They only knew that the voice he emitted was a sonorous voice that shook people's hearts. A miracle. Was that an immortal? On this day, all the media outlets on the major planets were in an uproar. However, all the media outlets that were broadcasting the miracle were suddenly interrupted. The leaders and generals of the major planets appeared on the live broadcast media of their respective planets at the same time. A piece of news that shook the entire Sky River sector and made countless people panic spread to every corner of the Sky River sector in an extremely short period of time. Countless battleships and civilian aircrafts appeared in the cities of the major planets. Human elites, natural persons and semi-natural persons, under the cooperation of the military and the government, boarded the battleships and aircrafts at the fastest speed and were sent to a planet near Planet 2046. Phew. Luckily there's only Li Mubai. In the abandoned mine, the huge rock had returned to its human form and was lying motionless on the ground. In his mind, after Qin Hao's main body took control of all the Xeno race beings, he heaved a long sigh of relief and said to himself, "The 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra is truly powerful. With so many Daluo Jingxian advanced stage experts, even I would have to expend some effort to deal with them. I didn't think that I would be able to deal with them so easily." Of course, Qin Hao also knew that this was inseparable from the strength of his soul. The same ultimate technique would have different powers when executed by different people. Qin Hao, on the other hand, used the 10th level of the Secular Heart Sutra and took advantage of their greed to easily control these cultivators. "Are you done?" At that moment, Qin Hao's spiritual force heard Qin Hua's voice. "Alright, it's all done. What's the situation? Is there anyone else who reported?" "Only Li Mubai. If there are no accidents, the Sky River sector should be able to survive this crisis smoothly," Qin Hao said. Good. Thank you. On behalf of the billions of lives in the Sky River sector, I thank you. How? Isn't it time for you to come back? Your mother and the others are worried sick. In addition, the Alliance's military and government have begun to transport all the elites, natural people and semi-natural people in the entire Sky River sector. All right. Since you think it's safe, we'll do as you say. Those who gather can fly to me together with the battleships and aircraft. Fly to you? Didn't you say that you could send us to a safe world? Do as I say and you'll understand when the time comes. However, this is all done by your son. Qin Hao, the biological son of Qin Hua, the godfather of science, was pregnant for 3 years and has not woken up for 18 years. It has something to do with the Buddhist scriptures you obtained 5,000 years ago. Ahem. You said that my son is you and you are my son. Explain it clearly. What should I do? Qin Hua was once again confused by Qin Hao's real body. Father Ha, I'm not as great as you who can give and sacrifice everything. Your son is me and I'm your son, but my real body is my real body. To put it bluntly, I'm not from this world. I can only say that, at most, I'm 1/9 of you. Therefore your son 1/9 of me needs to do something for the Sky River sector. What do you need to do? Qin Hua frowned and asked in his mind. It's very simple, Faith. Your son will come, create miracles and send you to a big world thousands of times better than the Sky River sector, where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is extinct. In order to maintain this big world, faith is needed. Similarly, your son 1/9 of me also needs faith if he wants to wake up. Furthermore, faith must be unified, absolute faith. Therefore, you need to inform the government and the military. Tell them about the invasion of extraterrestrial life 10 years ago, the process of dealing with the extraterrestrial life now, and the upcoming crisis of facing more powerful extraterrestrial life. Your son will act as a savior and take them into the great fairy world that only immortals can enter. Qin Hao said with fervor and assurance. This was the real reason why Qin Hao had concealed his real body. In order to achieve true growth in the second anima, he had to do this at the fastest speed. I understand. It's a religious faith, right? Yes, it's very simple. In the past 2 months, it was a miracle that shook the entire Sky River sector. I understand now. Those people who were in a daze for nearly 2 months saw you as the immortal. Haha, of course. However, without pious and clear faith, it's impossible to see me clearly. Alright, I will formulate a complete plan. Let the government and the military take the initiative to cooperate. I believe there won't be any problems. That's even better. When they start flying to me, all the battleships will contact each other. Those that can simulate the real 3D holographic simulation will be activated. Those that can't will be displayed on the screen. Let them see the real immortal spirit great world through the battleships and aircraft that enter it. Miracles are everywhere. Qin Hao spoke like a charlatan. He admired his father quite a bit. He originally thought that Qin Hua would inform the military and the head of state to plan this God creation movement together. He didn't expect that Qin Hua would come alone, and let the military and the government take the initiative to cooperate. This also meant that Qin Hua would be the only one who knew what was going on. Chapter 936. It had to be said that Qin Hua's wisdom was all around. He was even better than Qin Hao on Earth or Li Yuan. Li Yuan's stubborn character was flawed, but Qin Hua was perfect. His strength was not only in scientific research, but also in human nature and the ways of the world. In just 2 hours, all the major media channels in the Sky River sector were activated. 10 years ago, alien life forms invaded the Sky River sector. The tragic scene of dozens of planets evaporating was replayed in front of billions of people in the Sky River sector, accompanied by Qin Hua's low, impassioned and sorrowful voice. This was real and heavy history, a history that had been blocked by the government. There was no need to prove anything. The authenticity of the picture and the sudden disappearance of the planets in the Sky River sector 10 years ago were the best proof. Even if the news had been blocked, how could there be no secret about the disappearance of dozens of planets? Following that, the original recordings of the Tao scriptures and Buddhist scriptures from 5,000 years ago were played. This vast and loud voice had the same charm as the Tao voice that Qin Hao had maintained for 2 months. Even though it was just a recording, it had the effect of making people feel relaxed and happy. While playing, Qin Hua did not explain more. He only said that this was the original recording of Taoist scriptures and Buddhist scriptures that were popular in the Sky River sector today. Then, to everyone's surprise, it was a clip of Qin Hua's wife being pregnant. At this point, the strange incident of her being pregnant for 3 years surfaced. During her pregnancy, his wife Fanjin described to him the things that repeatedly appeared in her dreams, and the origin of his son's name. These life clips were all real records of Qin Hua and Fanjin. The appearance of the little nurse Lu Hui. Of course, Qin Hua only intercepted the recording of the little nurse hearing Qin Hao's voice in this picture. Then with Qin Hua's narration, the recording of Qin Hua meeting with the alien life forms alone appeared. Again, only the part that proved that Qin Hao was the immortal fate was intercepted. Finally, it was the thousands of rays of light and the Taoist sound that resounded through the world in the last 2 months. Qin Hua's narration ran through the whole process and rendered the immortal fate as the only true God who had saved the Sky River sector. The ending appeared again in the dream of his wife Fanjin, but of course this dream was fabricated by Qin Hua. Believe in the true God and you will have eternal life. In the face of the more powerful extraterrestrial life forms that were about to arrive, only those who believed in the true gods could survive the calamity and enter the immortal spirit great world. Before Qin Hua broadcast the program, he only informed the head of state and the general, but did not explain what he was going to do. But after the broadcast, the presidents and generals of the vital planets contacted Qin Hua with worry, excitement and complicated feelings at the first moment. Qin Hua didn't explain too much and continued to broadcast. Now is the time to see if my wife's dream is real. All battleships and civilian aircrafts, please activate communications. I, Qin Hua, will broadcast the whole process of entering the immortal spirit great world. The satellite locked onto the screen and changed to the live broadcast of Qin Hua's private battleship activation. At this moment, all the living beings in the entire Sky River sector stared at the screen in front of them nervously and excitedly. In the advanced battleships, they could feel the three-dimensional scene projected by the holographic projection and their eyes widened. On the screen, Qin Hua's battleship was getting closer and closer to the abandoned mine. When it was only a kilometer away, all the humans who were paying attention to this scene suddenly screamed and cheered. Another miracle. The multicolored light and the vast and magnificent Tao sound that had just disappeared appeared again, and it was even more powerful than it had been 2 months ago. What was even more amazing was that this time, in the core of the multicolored light, everyone really saw a shadow. It was clearer than the people who had been on the scene 2 months ago. Although they still couldn't see it clearly, they could see that it was very similar to Qin Hua's strange sun that had just been broadcasted. The heads of state and the generals of the planets were all shocked. Fan Zhen, Lu Hui, Lu Qian, Lu Kaier, and the others in Qin Hao's private battleship were also shocked. Qin Hao's oldest son, Qin Long, clapped his little hands and called him Dad. Now, although Fan Zhen still had doubts and didn't understand why Qin Hua said that she dreamed that her son was the savior, she was no longer anxious and uneasy. Qianhua's private battleship finally merged into the endless multicolored light. All the media's images also turned into dazzling colors at this moment. But only after a moment, the battleship disappeared and was replaced by the live broadcast shot of Qianhua's battleship. What kind of scene was that? Mountains and rivers, exotic flowers and herbs, towering palaces, majestic seas. The beautiful scenery was definitely not something that could be found anywhere in the Tianhe star zone. The great immortal spirit world. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. Have we really entered the great immortal spirit world? When Qianhua opened the cabin door and stepped out of the battleship with everyone, they became the center of the battleship's perspective. This time, Qianhua's expression was extremely excited, and it was an admiration that came from the bottom of his heart. Fan Zhen, Lu Qian, Lu Kai'er, and a few little guys who were carried by the non-natural people all showed intoxicated, shocked and excited expressions. It's so comfortable. Only the little nurse, Lu Hui, was different from the others. She didn't even care to look at the beautiful scenery. She closed her eyes and murmured. She felt that every pore on her body opened up in an instant. At this moment she was like a fish that had returned to the sea. An indescribable comfort made her feel as if she was about to fly. At this moment Chen Hao, whose mind opened the great world in his mind and connected with the outside world, sensed the changes in Lu Hui's body and thought to himself, this little girl. She has an innate spiritual body. In my mind's world, the speed of her growth will be amazing. Professor Chen, can we come in and take a look first? At this moment the heads of state who were still connected to Qianhua's mind, finally couldn't help but speak. Yes. Qianhua knew that he had succeeded in creating a god. Of course, this wasn't a fake creation of a god. Qianhao, his son, was 1/9 of his son, so he should be a true god. Powerful extraterrestrial life forms were already gods to them. Qianhao could easily suppress them, so what was he if not an immortal? 2 months later, all the elites, natural people and semi-natural people of the Sky River sector had entered the vast and boundless great immortal spirit world. Under the procedures discussed by Qianhao and Qianhua, they took root here in an orderly manner. The entire Sky River sector's cutting-edge technology was in the form of a battleship base. It could be said that, except for the city buildings themselves, almost everything in the Sky River sector had been moved in. Even the non-natural people had been brought in by their respective masters. The rest had been dismantled by the biological brain chips. They were temporarily put away. Chapter 937. After all, although Qianhao's mental world had become a true great world, it was still too small compared to the entire Sky River sector. Fortunately, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth had been extinguished, and high-tech pollution had caused the number of natural and semi-natural people in the Sky River sector to dwindle. Living there was still plenty of space, and it was definitely 100 or even 1,000 times less crowded than living on Earth. The godfather of science, Qianhao, had become the true godfather and the representative of the savior, Qianhao. Fan Zhen, on the other hand, had become the mistress, the mother of the savior. Qianhao's mental world had also become a world of faith for all humans. It's time for me to come out. Go back and receive your faith. Grow slowly. I hope you can wake up soon, chi. The entire world grew quiet. Not a single living being remained in the Milky Way planetary system. Suddenly, a brilliant light rose up from Qianhao's forehead. Then the slumbering second anima suddenly vanished. Qianhao's true self, who looked exactly the same as the first anima, radiated a life force aura and fleshly body power that was countless times more powerful. Finally, Qianhao's true self emerged from the world of his mind. In Qianhao's mental world, when Qianhao's second life appeared out of thin air in front of Fan Zhen and the others, Fan Zhen immediately rushed over excitedly. Unfortunately, her godlike son was still in a deep sleep. His lips, which had been moving all this time, were no longer moving. He was more like a living dead. Lu Hui, Lu Qian, Lu Kai'er, and the mothers of the children who had been brought together were all present. They were all filled with surprise and disbelief as they looked at the sleeping Qianhao. Was this person who had been in a deep sleep for 3 years, really the savior of the billions of lives in the Sky River sector? They didn't dare believe it, but all the signs indicated that it was true. Although Lu Hui and Lu Qian, who had experienced the incident with Li Mubai, still had doubts, they believed that it was the truth. However, there must be more to it than meets the eye. Unfortunately, apart from Qianhua, even Fan Zhen couldn't ask. Phew, Although it's not perfect, it can be said that the nirvana of my true self has succeeded. Sky River Sector. Supreme Hongmeng come. My first battle after my rebirth, you will be my touchstone. Rumble. Qin Hao punched out and Planet 2046 was directly destroyed. Then he turned into a stream of light, tore through the space barrier and disappeared in an instant. There was nothing left in the Great Thousand Realms. It was destined to become an abandoned land. From the excitement and cheers of the billions of lives that entered his mind world, Qin Hao already knew that they would no longer have any attachment to their homeland. It was hard to leave one's homeland, but what was truly hard to leave were family and friends. Now the entire Sky River sector had been relocated. In this immortal-like world, who would be reluctant to part with the almost desolate living environment? Greater teleportation. After tearing open the space barrier and entering the chaotic space, Qin Hao immediately activated the grand teleportation technique. When he was in the state of nirvana, it would have taken him at least several years to cross the chaotic space outside the Sky River sector. But now he had succeeded in nirvana and his real body had appeared. With the help of the grand teleportation technique, he could cross the chaotic space in half a year. Qin Hao had no reason to wait for the other party's arrival in the Sky River sector. From the memories of Li Mubai, Zhao Guiyu and other cultivators, Qin Hao had a very good understanding of the vast thousand realms. If he wanted to return to the vast universe galaxy of the ancient chaos sector, the first thing he had to do was to rush to the vast universe sector, improve himself and look for opportunities. Energy consumption is really fast. Fortunately, the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree and the Spirit Spring Sea are almost inexhaustible, especially the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree. Although the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree was in Qin Hao's mind world, it seemed to be connected to the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Even in the Sky River sector, it could draw energy from the void. This was something that Qin Hao could not figure out, but it was undoubtedly a good thing. If I merge with the second person, my current realm should be able to break through to the peak of the middle stage of the Daluo Golden Wonderland or even the late stage. Li Mubai's master Tian Wanxiang is at the peak of the late stage of the Supremacy Realm in Hongmeng. He is only a slightly above average elder in the Hunyuan sect. Perhaps I should have the strength to fight him? Qin Hao could not be sure just based on the memories of Li Mubai and the others. Unless he saw it with his own eyes and sensed the other party's coercion, aura and state, he would be able to make a clearer judgment. Qin Hao would not be like his father, who was calculative and careful. That was because he had enough strength, but he would not act rashly. Li Mubai's soul origin imprint still existed, and his real body was well preserved. He had already thought of what to do. The 10th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. Illusion is reality and reality is illusion. Even the experts of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm would not be able to see through it if they did not experience it for themselves. Whether or not they could see through it after experiencing it for themselves still needed to be verified. Therefore, Qin Hao could make use of Li Mubai's physical body and soul origin to make a fuss. With the help of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, Qin Hao believed that even if a wisp of Li Mubai's own primordial spirit came, it would not be detected and would automatically merge with the fake primordial spirit he created. Qin Hao would never have thought that it was this cautious idea that saved him, or rather, the lives of billions of lives in the Sky River sector. Qin Hao used the great teleportation technique for the first time since he had become a Daluo Jinxian. His speed had reached an astonishing level. Every time he flashed, he would cross hundreds of millions of miles. His speed was more than 10 times faster than before he had succeeded in nirvana. In less than 3 months, Qin Hao had passed through the area of chaotic space where even the chaotic energy was extinct, and finally entered the real chaotic space. This is it. When he arrived at a huge star fragment, Qin Hao stopped. As long as Li Mubai's primordial spirit comes from the vast thousand chaotic worlds, it will be able to sense his primordial spirit within a certain range. It will take about 20 or 30 years. Qin Hao sat down cross-legged and released Li Mubai's physical body. At the same time, with a thought, his original body merged with Li Mubai's physical body. At this time, Li Mubai's primordial spirit and physical aura slowly bloomed. Qin Haoju, on the other hand, was mostly immersed in cultivation and comprehension. A figure shuttled back and forth in the chaotic space at an astonishing speed. In an instant it was thousands of miles away. Even the terrible space storms could not stop it. Every 10 days or half a month, it would be replaced by another person without any rest in between. It was a wisp of Li Mubai's primordial spirit, 3 supreme elders and his master Tian Wanxiang. However, Li Mubai and Tian Wanxiang were always in the mind of the supreme elder, who was a cutting Dao genuine immortal. The 3 supreme immortals took turns to advance at full speed. Chapter 938. How fast was this speed? It could only be said that Qin Hao was not destined to die, and the billions of lives in the Sky River sector were not yet exhausted. Otherwise, if it had been a month later, Qin Hao would have become the other party's immortal fate, and the Sky River sector would have been reduced to a slave sector at the mercy of others. Supreme Elder, I came back from here to deliver the message. I don't know the situation ahead, but the immortal fate goes straight all the way and it must be in front of us. Well, with their speed, even if they haven't stopped now, it won't take long for us to catch up with them. Since we're here, I'll strengthen the aura of your primordial spirit by 100 times, so that you can sense your original body. Well, thank you, Supreme Elder. Buzz. The aura of Li Mubai's primordial spirit was fully released, and it became more than 100 times stronger in an instant. Qin Hao, who was immersed in cultivation, was suddenly shocked. Is it an illusion? Oh, how could it be so fast? Qin Hao was shocked. He was prepared to wait for 20 or 30 years, but he had just immersed himself in cultivation for a few days, and he actually sensed the fluctuation of Li Mubai's soul origin. This kind of fluctuation could only be felt by one's own primordial spirit. Phew, the speed of the peak of the late stage of the Grandma's supremacy realm, there's no reason for it to be so fast. Is it with the help of a powerful flying Dharma treasure, or is it a more powerful existence following Li Mubai's primordial spirit? It's so fast I can't escape. The perception of the soul origin made Qin Hao realize that at this moment, even if he used the great teleportation technique with all his strength, he couldn't surpass the speed of the other party. Qin Hao didn't know the specific situation, but he knew that at this moment he had to hide his original body until no aura was emitted. At the same time, he had to do his best to pretend to be the real Li Mubai. And he didn't have time to hesitate. Since a primordial spirit had sensed it, how could it be possible without self-communication? Supreme Elder Master. I sensed it. But how is this possible? When Qin Hao sensed the fluctuations of Li Mubai's soul origin, a wisp of Li Mubai's soul origin also sensed the aura of his main body. He immediately exclaimed in surprise, but in the next instant his surprise turned into shock. What happened? What's the situation? Disciple, don't panic. With the 3 grand elders here, what can't be solved? Could it be that the immortal opportunity has been snatched by someone else? Information was self-shared. At the same time, Qin Hao sucked in a breath of cold air. The Tao severing perfected immortal. And there were 3 of them. What shocked Qin Hao even more was that a strand of Li Mubai's primordial spirit automatically shared information with his soul origin. It was actually because of his immortal fate that all the experts of the Hunyuan sect were mobilized. Moreover, it was because of Tao marks that even he himself had not thought of. Galaxy Tunnel. This was an existence that even Qin Hao had never seen before. But at this moment, Qin Hao knew that although he had never seen it before, he had used it before. However, when he used it, it was at the initial stage of nirvana of his true self, and even his consciousness had not awakened. He only knew that when the golden scales transformed into a dragon, the last eruption of the real heavenly punishment, the moment when his body and soul were destroyed, the void was shattered, as if it had connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth has been extinguished and billions of lives have disappeared. Zhao Guiyu and the others have disappeared. Li Mubai revealed the information shared by his main body with a horrified expression. What's the specific situation? The 3 grand elders Tian Wanxiang suddenly changed their expressions. Grand elders, master, please come over and tell me. At this moment, the aura of Li Mubai's soul origin suddenly weakened, and after speaking, it directly dissipated between heaven and earth. Obviously, the soul power in this strand of soul origin had been withdrawn by his main body, and the energy of the soul origin dissipated between heaven and earth. Let's go. The 4 of them immediately increased their speed to the peak and left quickly. Several hours later, Qin Hao looked at the fast-flowing light with excitement and bowed down. Disciple Li Mubai pays his respects to the 3 grand elders and master. Li Mubai's physical body, Li Mubai's soul origin. The only difference was that Qin Hao was in control of everything, and all the soul power was transformed from Qin Hao's own soul power. Disciple, what's going on? Tell me quickly. This immortal opportunity is of great importance and we can't afford to lose it. Yes. When I sent a strand of my soul back to send a message, I had been chasing after the immortal opportunity. When I came here, the chaotic space in front of me was silent and there was no chaotic energy. After flying for about 10 years, I entered a great thousand world. What? Entered a great thousand world? The three grand elders Tian Wanxiang were shocked. It was too difficult to find a great thousand world in the vast galaxy. After all, in the chaotic space, if one did not reach the edge of the barrier of the great thousand world, no cultivator would be able to sense the situation outside the barrier. This was also the reason why the entire Hunyuan sect was mobilized after Tian Wanxiang discovered the Tao marks of the Star River Tunnel. Once they discovered that the cultivators in the Great Thousand World were not very strong, it meant that there would be a lot of cultivation resources and wealth. This was not something that a simple immortal opportunity could compare to. Otherwise, the sect master of the Hunyuan sect would not have sent the three grand elders over, even though he knew that the immortal opportunity scripture was comparable to the three great immortal scriptures of the Great Thousand Chaotic World. Naturally, he focused on the possibility that the Tao marks of the Star River Tunnel could discover the Great Thousand World. And now, the first sentence that Li Mubai said was that he had discovered the Great Thousand World. Yes. At that time, although I was pursuing the immortal opportunity, I did not enter blindly. After all, I knew nothing about the Great Thousand World that I had discovered. Yes, disciple, you did the right thing. Tian Wanxiang praised. The other three grand elders also nodded slightly. I tried to enter a wisp of primordial spirit to investigate the situation. What I did not expect was that the Great Thousand World had no heaven and earth spiritual energy. But it had a powerful battleship which did not belong to the divine power law. Some of us who went in had already died and some were captured alive because of the exhaustion of energy. There was no way for us to recover our energy there. Qin Hao told the truth about the situation, and the result was that Zhao Guiyu and the others as well as the immortal opportunity were nowhere to be found. What was even more strange was that all life in the Milky Way star zone had mysteriously disappeared. When he felt uneasy, he evacuated in advance and came here to wait for his master to come and make a decision. There is such a great thousand world. It should have collapsed long ago. Perhaps the surrounding chaotic space you said was also in a state of silence, which is why it could be maintained until now. Let's go and take a look. The Great Thousand World. Its value is immeasurable. What Qin Hao did not expect was that the three grand elders were not disappointed after hearing what he had said. A great thousand world with no heaven and earth spiritual energy, no heaven and earth spiritual energy, no living creatures, and the immortal opportunity had disappeared. What value did it have? Chapter 940. Grand Supreme Elder, this vast thousand world is already an abandoned place. Qin Hao couldn't help but say. Disciple, this is what you don't understand. Any vast thousand world is a priceless treasure. Even a top-grade celestial artifact can't be compared to it. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth in this vast thousand world has been extinguished, but it still hasn't been annihilated in the endless Milky Way. This shows the strength of the heavenly law that maintains its existence. No matter what it is now, this vast thousand world should be an ancient vast thousand world that has experienced the rise and fall of countless civilizations. However, there is a fault in it causing the practitioners to be annihilated in the long river of history. That's right. Let's go and see the situation immediately. It's good if we can find the immortal fate. If we can't find it, we don't need to care about the immortal fate. The immortal fate is obtained by the fated. Moreover, it's not a real natural immortal fate but a practitioner in nirvana. Let's go. I'll bring you in first. Since the spiritual chi of heaven and earth here has been extinguished, even we have to save energy in case of accidents. The fifth Grand Supreme Elder said. Qin Hao, the other two Grand Supreme Elders and Tian Wanxiang directly turned into a stream of light and merged into the fifth Grand Supreme Elder's glabella. What a powerful mental macro world. Qin Hao said in surprise. When Li Mubai's primordial spirit was in, although he had also entered, his ability was extremely limited. Without the origin of soul, he couldn't sense the mystery contained in it. At this moment, although Li Mubai couldn't see anything unusual, Qin Hao's original body was completely in control. Even if Qin Hao deliberately adjusted his soul realm, perception, aura, and so on to be exactly the same as Li Mubai's, he could still sense the horror of the first Grand Supreme Elder's mental macro world. The mental macro world of a cutting path genuine immortal was definitely not comparable to Qin Hao's mental macro world. Of course, this referred to the macro world's order chains and the heavenly law. It all depended on the master's own realm. As for the thickness of the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, the amount of spiritual items and treasures, it was not within the scope of comparison. Of course, Qin Hao wasn't able to see how many treasures the other party had. It was just like how Qin Hao had moved all the living beings in Sky River Star region into the Great World in his mind, but he had not opened up the Dao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree for them. That was his private territory, the place where he hid his treasures. Disciple, your true body has returned. This is a rare opportunity. The fifth Grand Elder is an existence that can stand shoulder to shoulder with the sect leader of the Hunyuan sect. The heavenly Tao laws contained in his mind are extremely powerful. You don't have to worry about what happens after that. Fifth Grand Elder has always taken care of the younger generation. Although your aptitude is not bad, it is only above average in the sect. Fortunately, your luck has always been good. This time your contribution is even greater. Why don't you ask Fifth Grand Elder to be merciful? If you miss this opportunity, you won't be able to find another one. Master, Little Tian, how many years has it been? You have already grown to the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, but your nature still hasn't changed. This is a great taboo for cutting path cultivators. In front of me you have your own thoughts and scruples. How can you transcend? Your disciple understands. Tian Wanxiang hurriedly bowed. You and Mubai can both go and cultivate. This time, you and your disciple deserve the most credit, so I will give you some benefits first. However, Mubai can extract the energy of my great world at will. Can be self-sufficient. Yes, thank you, Fifth Grand Elder. Tian Wanxiang immediately said excitedly and respectfully. Thank you, Fifth Grand Elder. Qin Hao hurriedly said. Two bright immortal lights suddenly descended from the void and enveloped Qin Hao and Tian Wanxiang. At this moment, Qin Hao calmed himself down and tried his best to restrain the aura of his original body. At the same time he sensed the heavenly ways law, which had suddenly strengthened countless times, and the majestic and rich spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Obviously, the fifth Grand Elder had deliberately enveloped the two of them with his own understanding of the heavenly ways law, so that they could more clearly grasp the mystery of it. Whether or not they could comprehend it depended on themselves. At the same time, the spiritual qi of heaven and earth that enveloped Qin Hao was also extremely pure. It had a qualitative improvement with Qin Hao's condensed vital essence. This was undoubtedly an excellent opportunity for Qin Hao to cultivate. Unfortunately, Qin Hao was now Li Mubai. Otherwise, Qin Hao was sure that the speed of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth would definitely make the fifth Grand Elder regret his boastful words of allowing him to extract the energy. This was absolutely true. With Qin Hao's abnormal absorption ability, he could swallow the chaotic energy like a jujube. Although this energy was of a high level, it was much softer than the chaotic energy. Even Tian Wanxiang, the supreme master of Hongmeng, might not necessarily be able to match Qin Hao's big appetite. Qin Hao's original body used the teleportation technique and took nearly 3 months to pass through the area where the chaotic energy was extinct. The fifth Grand Elder only took less than 7 days to reach the barrier of the Sky River sector. At this time, the sixth Grand Elder and the seventh Grand Elder also walked out of the fifth Grand Elder's mind and entered the Sky River sector together. Phew, there really is such a greater thousand world. The powerful perception of a true immortal instantly enveloped a radius of hundreds of millions of miles. Even though the 3 Tao-severing true immortals had already known from Qin Hao, they were still shocked when they truly sensed this greater thousand world that did not even have a trace of heaven and earth's spiritual energy. Rumble. The fifth Grand Elder casually sent out a stream of vital energy, and a planet exploded in the void like brilliant fireworks and was directly annihilated. The power of a true immortal was so powerful. It disappeared, yes. In the chaotic space outside the barrier, the energy can still be maintained for a while. But here, pure energy without the support of the divine power laws is simply annihilated in an instant. Nirvana space. As soon as the fifth Grand Elder said the word nirvana, The sixth Grand Elder and the seventh Grand Elder spoke at the same time and looked at each other in shock. The Nirvana space must have the true spirit of all things, eternal reincarnation, eternal. Once awakened, only I am in the world. The fifth Grand Elder said with a trembling beard. What should we do? Mubai, come out first. The fifth Grand Elder suddenly called out Chen Hao, who was immersed in cultivation and comprehension, from the great world in his mind. Greetings, fifth Grand Elder. Chen Hao was surprised, but his expression was calm as he bowed and saluted. The shocked expressions of the three Grand Elders made him very puzzled. Could it be that they had made some shocking discovery? You said that when you first arrived, there were hundreds of millions of living beings here, right? Yes. Then they mysteriously disappeared. What exactly happened? Chapter 941. Before it disappeared, a miracle appeared in the entire Milky Way sector. The beings in the Milky Way sector did not understand that it was actually the Tao sound and endless celestial light emitted by the immortal fate. At that time I discovered that Zhao Guiyu and the others were secretly rushing there. Firstly, I could not compete with them. Secondly, I felt uneasy. This feeling had saved my life many times during my training. Therefore I chose to immediately retreat to a faraway place and chose to temporarily observe. Unexpectedly, something strange really happened. First, the beings around the Tao Sound celestial light source disappeared into thin air at a terrifying speed. Then it spread to the entire space. Fortunately, I did not hesitate and directly tore open the space barrier, quickly escaped to the previous place and waited for Master's arrival. Grand Elder, did you discover anything? Alright, you can go back and cultivate. After you return to the vast thousand worlds, you are not allowed to mention anything about this to anyone, understand? Yes. I will remember this in my heart. Your comprehension is actually not bad. Unfortunately, you are too greedy. When you understand this principle, perhaps you will advance by leaps and bounds. Card. Yes, thank you, fifth Grand Elder, for your teachings. Chen Hao said respectfully. Immediately, with a trace of doubt in his heart, he turned into a stream of light and returned to the fifth Grand Elder's mind world. So, the sect leader and our previous guesses were all wrong. After Chen Hao was taken into the fifth Grand Elder's mind world, his eyes flashed as he looked at the endless void and muttered. Fifth Grand Elder, you mean, the immortal fate, is the real immortal fate? That's right. That is the immortal fate that belongs to the real spirits of all living things, the key to awakening. Has already awakened and will definitely enter the vast thousand worlds with spiritual chi of heaven and earth and grow rapidly. We discovered it in time. At this time we have at least tens of thousands of years to use this space of annihilation. Perhaps more than 100,000 years. The growth rate of the real spirits of all living things is very terrifying. As for how fast it can grow, it is not something we can know. However, tens of thousands of years is definitely needed. The moment it awakens, it swallows billions of beings. Even if the beings here are not cultivators, their soul origins are definitely not weaker than the mortals of the vast thousand worlds. What a terrifying existence. Li Mubai's luck, potential, intuition and caution are all very good. Otherwise he would not have survived. Perhaps he is a late bloomer. Oh? Fifth Grand Elder, you spoke out just now. Could it be that you discovered something? The sixth Grand Elder asked rather puzzledly. At this time the fifth Grand Elder was still talking about Li Mubai. He must have attached great importance to it. After all, they were talking about the great thousand world of nirvana and the true spirits of all living things. His comprehension ability is extremely high, but he's biting off more than he can chew. The great Tao laws that I condensed around him are all extremely mysterious existences in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, but he actually managed to comprehend a little of them. However, he stopped after just a little taste and changed when he encountered difficulties. Once this kind of person comes to his senses, he'll be a rare genius. And his luck is also very strong. He is the key to discovering the Milky Way tunnel and the boundless world of the nirvana space. Xiao Tian has picked up a treasure. If not for this trip, we would have been shocked. Sooner or later he will come to his senses. Cough cough. Alright, let's not talk about him. Let's return immediately and report to the sect master. If nothing unexpected happened, the spirits of all living things would definitely go to the origin of the celestial opportunity, the greater thousand realms. That space tunnel would be the key. The spirits of all living things, we can only form good karma with them and not become enemies. We have to inform the sect master as soon as possible. All right. After we return, we have to prepare sufficient spiritual items in advance. I believe that we can be the first batch of people to come here to comprehend the great Tao of Nirvana. Of course. Let's go, 6th Grand Elder, it's your turn. I'll rest for a while and give Mubai some pointers. 5th Grand Elder Xiao Tian is right. You really take care of your juniors. Then you have to have the qualifications for me to take care of you. The three figures instantly turned into one person. He tore through the void and left in a flash. Unfortunately, Qin Hao did not know the contents of their conversation. Otherwise, with Qin Hao's intelligence, he might have thought of something. Of course, even if he knew, it would not be of any help to Qin Hao for the time being. At the same time, Qin Hao did not expect that the 5th Grand Elder would still discover his strong comprehension ability even though he had been careful enough. Fortunately, he was cautious and did not dare to comprehend any of the profound laws of the heavenly Tao too deeply. This caused the 5th Grand Elder to conclude that he had been too greedy before, causing a bright pearl to be covered in dust. In the blink of an eye, a few months had passed. The 3 Grand Elders finally returned to the chaotic Great Thousand World and rushed directly to the Demon Abyss. This time, apart from the sect master of the Hunyuan sect and the Grand Elder of the Cutting Path Perfected Immortal Realm, even the elders at the peak of the late stage of the Grandmist Supremacy Realm were excluded and had a secret meeting. Qin Hao, who was disguised as Li Mubai, and his master Tian Wanxiang, although they had made great contributions, they were not allowed to participate. That was because it was not a realm that cultivators below the perfected immortal realm could reach. Master, is this the Milky Way tunnel? Kid, you know the answer. Although you were just a wisp of primordial spirit back then, you have seen it. Ahem, Master, I can't sense it as a wisp of primordial spirit. Now that I see it with my own eyes, it feels completely different. That's true. The Milky Way tunnel connects the 9 heavens and 10 earths and can cross the endless Milky Way in an instant. It is thousands of times more powerful than the space-time gate. You don't have to sense it. With your current realm, you can't even touch the surface. Only a perfected immortal king or a perfected immortal with a supreme-grade immortal artifact can open it. Can I go in and take a look? Nonsense. The Grand Elder and the others have not returned yet. Are you going to court death? This Milky Way tunnel is only maintained by the Tao marks left behind. Although it still has a certain transmission ability, it has lost its power to connect the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Before it is reinforced, it is in danger of collapsing at any time. With your cultivation, you won't even know how you died. Wait for the news. The Grand Elder and the others will arrive at the other side to investigate the situation. After the sect master and the others reinforce and repair this Tao mark, you may be able to go in and broaden your horizons. Oh, all right, Qin Hao said rather dejectedly. But if you really want to see it, you can try to get closer to the 5th Grand Elder. I realize that the 5th Grand Elder thinks highly of you. This is a good thing. The 5th Grand Elder still doesn't have a successor. I don't mind you having another master. Why don't you try? Chapter 942. I don't dare. I'm serious. I'm not joking with you. You need to be cautious and not greedy for big advantages, but you're a bastard if you don't take small advantages. What's more, I can see that the 5th Grand Elder seems to really think highly of you. Otherwise, he would never give you pointers from time to time when he returned. When you get any benefits, remember to share them with me, your master. Don't pretend in front of me. Do you think I don't know your tricks? Master, in front of others I may pretend, but in front of you I won't pretend. Your flattery skills have improved again. Not bad. Tian Wanxiang narrowed his eyes and said. No one knew his disciple better than his master. Li Mubai had been trained by him. He dared not say that he was resourceful, but he had learned how to choose when to advance and retreat, how to protect and escape, how to bully the weak and bully the strong, how to not be soft, how to be soft, and how to flatter others. This time in the Sky River sector, among the 112 genius disciples, he was the only one who could escape a calamity. This was the best proof. Master, you flatter me. Isn't it because you taught me well? Qin Hao said modestly. At this moment he had the urge to immediately rush into the Star River Tunnel's Tao marks. Back then, the wisp of Li Mubai's primordial spirit had only given him a little bit of information. Now that he had seen it for himself, Qin Hao realized that perhaps this was the Milky Way tunnel he had left behind. It contained a familiar aura that shocked Qin Hao. Old God. During the process of nirvana, old God had never appeared. Chen Hao did not care, but now his real body had stepped out and the mind world had returned to the mind of his real body. His realm's strength had also recovered to a level several times stronger than before the final battle, but old God still did not appear. Chen Hao summoned him several times but there was no response. Before entering the Star River Tunnel, Chen Hao thought that old God might have collapsed with his collapse and returned to nothingness. He needed to undergo nirvana again to recover his intelligence. But now, the Star River Tunnel clearly contained the aura of old God, and it was extremely strong. Unfortunately, before the first Grand Elder and the others returned, no one was allowed to enter. Even at this moment, the sect master and the utmost exalted elders were having a private discussion. Furthermore, a true immortal level utmost exalted elder was assigned to guard the sect master. Tian Wanxiang and Chen Hao could only watch from afar. Tian Wanxiang was an elder, so he was fine. As for Chen Hao, who was disguised as Li Mubai, if he wasn't the one who discovered this matter, he wouldn't even have the qualifications to enter the Devil Abyss. 2 hours later, the sect leader of the Hunyuan sect and several supreme elders of the Tao Severing True Immortals finished their secret talks and appeared beside the Star River Tunnel. Amidst the confusion of many elders, the sect leader of the Hunyuan sect announced that a supreme elder of the Tao Severing True Immortals would be left behind to guard the Tao marks of the Star River Tunnel. 36 elders of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm who were at the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm would seal off any cultivators who came to train around the crisscrossing passageways. No news was allowed to spread. If necessary, they would be killed if they could. If not, they would be temporarily controlled. The sect leader, the other supreme elders and elders withdrew first, waiting for news from the first Grand Elder and the others. According to the sect leader's speculation, the Star River Tunnel maintained by the Tao marks couldn't directly lead to other greater worlds. Otherwise, even if the Star River Tunnel lost its ability to connect to the 9 heavens and 10 earths, its teleportation function would still be extremely powerful. There was no reason why the first Grand Elder and the others couldn't return after more than a year. As for the matter of the 5th, 6th, and 7th Grand Elders taking Tian Wanxiang and a wisp of Li Mubai's primordial spirit to search for the immortal fate, the sect leader just casually told them that the immortal fate's aura had disappeared without a trace and they had given up on searching. But he didn't mention a word about the discovery of the greater worlds. Chen Hao was naturally a little confused and so was Tian Wanxiang. But both of them knew that since the sect leader didn't say anything, they had to keep it in their hearts. Mubai, although you didn't get the immortal fate this time, you did a good job. I'll give you 10 years of cultivation in the sect's cave abode. You're now at the peak of the late stage of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland. If you can reach the fulfillment realm in 10 years, you'll have a place in the Hunyuan sect for the qualification battle of the sacred land of immortals in the chaotic universe. Work hard. Yes. Thank you very much, sect leader. I'll do my best to spread the name of the Hunyuan sect. Chen Hao didn't expect that the sect leader of the Hunyuan sect would reward him at this time, and the reward was so generous. Even if he hadn't gotten Li Mubai's memory, he could tell from the surprised and envious eyes of the surrounding elders that this was a reward that even they were envious of. However, when Chen Hao saw the 5th Grand Elder looking at him with a smile, he immediately returned a look of gratitude. Obviously, the 5th Grand Elder must have contributed to him being able to get such a generous reward. Very good. I didn't notice you before. The 5th Grand Elder admires and thinks highly of you, so you can't let him down. The qualification to cultivate in the cave abode is difficult even for the top geniuses in the sect. It's a rare opportunity, so you must seize it. Yes. Elders and Grand Elders, no one is to mention the matter of the Demon Abyss again. If your disciples ask about Li Mubai's reward, you can't talk about it either. It was only because he had obtained the recognition of the 5th Grand Elder and wanted to take him in as his successor. Whoever dares to talk about it will be punished by the sect. Any bit of information can leak out the matter of the Star Core Tunnel Tao mark. At that time, it won't be something that our Hunyuan sect can keep alone. You know the consequences. Rest assured, sect leader. Alright, you may disperse now. Remember to hide your tracks. Xiaotian Mubai, the two of you follow me. Come in. As the 5th Grand Elder spoke, he opened up the great world in his mind and allowed Chen Hao and Tian Wanxiang to enter. Thank you, 5th Grand Elder. Chen Hao said excitedly and gratefully. Even though Chen Hao was an imposter, it had to be said that the fifth Grand Elder and his master Tian Wanxiang treated Li Mubai quite well. Needless to say, the fifth Grand Elder definitely cherished him because of the talent he displayed. After all, when he returned, the fifth Grand Elder gave him pointers from time to time. And Chen Hao went with the flow. When he gave pointers, it was as if he was suddenly enlightened. His comprehension ability was astonishing. Of course, he still held back. He couldn't become too exaggerated all of a sudden. But even so, it really attracted the fifth Grand Elder's interest. And his master Tian Wanxiang, whether it was in Li Mubai's memory or now, had always taken care of him and valued him. Firstly, Li Mubai himself was very much to his liking. Secondly, Li Mubai was considered to be the top among his disciples. "Idiot, you're still calling me fifth Grand Elder?" Tian Wanxiang reprimanded. Dark Mountain continues to write. There will be more at night. Today there will be more. Can I cast a monthly vote? Chapter 943. Master, don't call me that too early. Whether or not you can become my disciple depends on your performance. Although I played a part in the reward given to you by the sect leader this time, in fact you deserve it. You too don't have to hide the existence of the Sky River sector in your hearts. Shao Tian, regarding your reward, the sect leader will specially summon you later. The fifth Grand Elder waved his hand to stop Chen Hao. Fifth Grand Elder, I'm not in a hurry. You should first tell Mubai the details of the secret grotto heaven. This is something I wanted to fight for when I was in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, but I didn't get it. It's a big regret in life, not to mention you, even some of the Grand Elders didn't get it. Only the top 30 geniuses in the Daluo Golden Wonderland are qualified to enter our sect's secret grotto heaven. The secret grotto heaven was prepared by the Hunyuan sect to fight for the quota of the Immortal Sutra's holy land in the chaotic boundless world. Mubai's current strength is absolutely not enough. But I found that Mubai's comprehension is very high. Shao Tian, I don't want to criticize you, but I really wonder how you train your disciples. Cough cough. Is his comprehension really that high? Fifth Grand Elder, I really didn't find it that high. It's really not that I'm incompetent, but that you have a keen eye and a good way of teaching. You brat. Okay, let's get down to business. Mubai, listen to me carefully. Yes, fifth Grand Elder. In the secret grotto heaven. It is engraved with the marks left by the masters of our Hunyuan sect. These masters are real geniuses that are 1 in 100 million. They are also the top geniuses who were qualified to enter the holy land of the Immortal Sutra when they were in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. The Dao marks they left behind are specifically targeted at comprehending the 3 great Immortal Sutras. This is also the reason why only 30 top Daluo Golden Wonderland geniuses are qualified to enter and comprehend the Dao marks every 10 years. Through Li Mubai's memories, Chen Hao knew very well that although the top management of the Hunyuan sect had directly appointed the 30 people who were qualified to enter the Hunyuan sect, all of them were the top geniuses of the Hunyuan sect's Daluo Golden Wonderland. People like Li Mubai, who was above average, didn't even dare to think about it. Out of the 30 people who could enter, 20 people would be selected as the Hunyuan sect to participate in the competition for the sacred land of the Immortal Sutra in the chaotic universe. There was no need to go through layers of selection, and they could directly enter the ranks of the final competition. The other 10 people, or other Daluo Golden Wonderland geniuses, who wanted to enter the sacred land of the Immortal Sutra in the chaotic universe, had to sign up themselves and go through layers of battles before they could enter the ranks of the final competition. The sacred land of the Immortal Sutra in the chaotic universe was also opened once every 10 years. Every time, only 1,000 practitioners in the entire chaotic universe's Daluo Golden Wonderland would be qualified to enter the sacred land. All the practitioners who were qualified to enter were the top geniuses of the chaotic universe. It was a major event that all the major sects attached great importance to, because it was related to the mystery of the 3 great Immortal Sutras. The 3 great Immortal Sutras were the supreme classics of the chaotic universe. Although they weren't divine skills, they could allow practitioners to comprehend the Tao and create their own unique skills. Everyone was different. How much one could comprehend and what one could comprehend depended on one's luck and comprehension. Some people improved by leaps and bounds after coming out, while others didn't gain anything. This was a very normal thing. So far, no one in the chaotic universe dared to say that they had completely comprehended the 3 great Immortal Sutras. This was also the reason why the sacred land of the chaotic universe's sacred land was very special. Only the practitioners of the Daluo Golden Wonderland could comprehend it. Those below this realm had no ability to enter at all. Those above this realm would also feel nothing. This was definitely not controlled by humans. The sacred land of the Immortal Sutra had existed since ancient times. Even the most powerful immortal king in the chaotic universe couldn't figure out the origin of the sacred land of the Immortal Sutra. In the secret grotto heaven there are powerful space-time laws. 10 years in the outside world is 1,000 years in there. At the same time, there is a continuous supply of pure heaven and earth spiritual energy, allowing you to extract and cultivate. Oh, so strong. No wonder there are so few places, Qin Hao said in surprise. This is the reason why the strength of all the disciples who can enter will soar after coming out. I only have one request for you. When you enter, don't be confused by all kinds of Dao marks and don't be greedy. Once you choose one, you must persevere until the end, unless you have no progress for more than 100 years. Your biggest weakness is not being greedy but not being confident. If you encounter a little difficulty, you will retreat and change to something else. Disciple understands. I will definitely change this time, Qin Hao said in a deep voice. In addition, I want to remind you, don't be greedy for small gains. Putting your main energy on refining the thick heaven and earth spiritual energy is neglecting the essentials. The reason why there is a continuous supply of heaven and earth spiritual energy is to let you better comprehend the Tao marks of the ancestors and save time to recover your energy. Do you understand? Disciple will remember. Engrave it in your heart, you must not take advantage of these small gains. You must remember. Tian Wanxiang interrupted. He was always teaching small gains, and if he didn't take advantage of them he would be a bastard. But this small gain really couldn't be taken advantage of. Yes, master. Also, when choosing Dao marks you can't be too greedy. Try to choose a Dao mark that you can withstand the pressure of and it's not too painful. If it's too high you will definitely not be able to comprehend it. If it's too low, the profound meaning of the Immortal Sutra will naturally be very little. This depends on you. The choice is very important. Yes. The most important thing is that although the sect master has given you this quota, your current strength and your previous performance are too mediocre. When you go back without the list being announced, there will definitely be people who will find out from the mouths of those elders and even instigate them. There will be many disciples who are not convinced by you and challenges are inevitable. Since the sect master said that it's because I like you, then you can't embarrass me. Put down the things that Shao Tian taught you first. In the sect, no one dares to destroy your body and soul. If there are challenges, then accept them. You can lose people, but you can't lose your spirit. This is also one of my tests for you. There is half a year between the announcement of the list and the opening of the Grotto Heaven Mystic Realm. I want to see your obvious improvement, so show me your ruthlessness. At the very least, you must make all the disciples who are above average submit to you. I will definitely not interfere in these matters. But after every battle I can heal you and give you pointers. Cough cough. Fifth Grand Elder, if you had been so good to me back then, I might have been able to break through to the great circle of Hongmeng, and maybe even cut the Tao. Tian Wanxiang was surprised, envious and happy as he spoke. Qin Hao was also full of gratitude and nodded vigorously. Two sharp rays of light flashed in his respectful eyes. Chapter 944. At this moment, even if Qin Hao was an impostor, he had to admire the fifth Grand Elder's high regard for him. With the full training of such a genuine immortal master, even Li Mubai, who was far inferior to him, could make great progress in his cultivation. Of course, if it was Li Mubai himself, he would not have been able to obtain the fifth Grand Elder's high regard and appreciation. Phew, the chaotic vast thousand world is indeed much more powerful than the ancient chaos vast thousand world. Back to the Hunyuan sect, which occupied an entire planet as its headquarters, Qin Hao could not help but exclaim. When he learned about the chaotic vast thousand world through Li Mubai's memory, Qin Hao was excited. Now that he was in the Hunyuan sect, he felt even more real. The Hunyuan sect was one of the top sects in the chaotic vast thousand world. However, it was only one of the top sects and was far from the top 10. However, Qin Hao was sure that the Shao family, which had been standing in the vast universe galaxy for hundreds of millions of years, was far less powerful than the Hunyuan sect. The number of genuine immortals and Grand Mist Supremacy Realm Masters was far less than the Shao family. As for whether the ancestor of the Shao family or the sect master of the Hunyuan sect was stronger, it was not something that Qin Hao could measure. Of course, the reason why he thought that the chaotic vast thousand world was stronger than the ancient chaos vast thousand world was because the top 10 galaxies were independent. Even if the total number of masters in the top 10 galaxies was comparable to the chaotic vast thousand world, they could not compete with the unified chaotic vast thousand world. The chaotic vast thousand world's immortal sutra sanctuary was shared by the entire chaotic vast thousand world, which was the best proof. There was no doubt that this place was more suitable for the growth of cultivators. I am not qualified to enter the Star River Tunnel for the time being. The Hunyuan sect should not be able to find out the situation in a short time. Instead of disturbing my mind, it is better to put down the package and calm down to cultivate in the chaotic vast thousand world. The 3 immortal sutras are the highest classics in the chaotic vast thousand world. Since I am here, I will fight for it so that this trip is not in vain. Qin Hao thought to himself as he sat cross-legged in his palace. What Qin Hao wanted the most was undoubtedly to return to the ancient chaos great thousand domains as soon as possible. His woman, his brothers, his friends, his family, they were all waiting for him, missing him and looking forward to his return. However, Qin Hao could not be sure that everyone was sure that he was not dead. Even if they were sure that he was not dead, who could be sure that he could return to the ancient chaos grand thousand worlds? Since ancient times, there were very few Tao-severing true immortals who could step out of the ancient chaos great thousand world who could return. Not to mention when his body and soul were destroyed and he shattered the void and left, he could at most be promoted to Daluo Jingxian. Back then, in that ethereal dream, his intuition had made him feel that he was about to experience a great calamity. He had also told everyone in advance that he might disappear for a period of time, but if he disappeared for too long, he was afraid that things would change and the world would change. This was definitely not what Qin Hao wanted to see, and he could not give up. His feelings, his love, his heart had already been left there. How could he not miss? But he was even more clear that if he wanted to return quickly, the only way was to improve himself faster. Otherwise, his beloved women whom he had not plucked would most likely be waiting for him to return even when they dissipated between heaven and earth. When he really saw the Tao mark of the Milky Way tunnel, Qin Hao faintly felt that the Tao mark of the Milky Way tunnel might be his opportunity to return to the ancient chaos great thousand worlds. Then he had to obtain the qualification when the Hunyuan sect was clear about the situation and prepared to enter the Milky Way tunnel. Father, mother, brother, sister, little Shui, little Wu, little Ting, little Lian Yu, Huan Huan, Lei, sister Mei, Wu Ting, my brothers and sisters, how could he not miss them? It was just that Qin Hao did not dare to think about it. But at this moment, in Qin Hao's mind, familiar figures appeared one after another. Every one of them floated clearly in his mind, including Bailey Ningbing and Hu Meinyang, who he had fought to the death with before. His past experiences with them all exploded in Qin Hao's mind at this moment, as if it was yesterday. After being immersed in his memories for a full 4 hours, Qin Hao finally stopped hesitating. In his mind, a sharp and resplendent sword light suddenly burst out. Endless worries were severed by the sword of wisdom and temporarily sealed in the depths of his soul. The great Tao was a solitary path. A cultivator must be able to endure loneliness and endure loneliness. The so-called great Tao was heartless. Perhaps this was the true origin. In the process of cultivation, the long river of fate was like an invisible giant hand, leaving the cultivator with no way to retreat, only to move forward. Being nostalgic for the past and constantly looking back meant the end of one's cultivation career. If one wanted to move forward, then he had to abandon everything. If he could not abandon it, then he had to temporarily suppress it. Disturb my mind / In order to become a true immortal, one had to / the Tao, let alone Qin Hao. Chapter 945. It's useless to talk about this. We have to think of a way. The top 20 golden immortals of the Hunyuan sect occupied 20 spots. They were almost certain to directly obtain the final spots of the immortals' scripture Holy Land. No one could compete with them, so they naturally didn't care who got the remaining 10 spots. Among these 10 spots, the strongest few could almost be determined. There are only 3 or 4 spots that can't be determined. So, only a few of us who have a chance but are not sure can make a move. We are at least equal in strength. Whoever goes first will be lucky. One of the cold-looking young men said in a deep voice. Yes, but how can we make a move? Is it useful? The sect leader has already promised. It's already a nail on the board. That's not necessarily true. Not to mention that the list hasn't been announced yet. Even if the list is announced, it may be adjusted before the secret realm opens. We have nothing to say if the experts stronger than us are qualified. But who is Li Mubai? Which one of us here is not stronger than him? I really don't know what the fifth Grand Elder sees in him. Why would the sect leader give him a spot? The fifth Grand Elder sees him as the main reason. There is another reason. Although my master didn't say it explicitly, he vaguely revealed that he seems to have done something to get this opportunity. What can he do? He's just a chicken head in a second-rate school. He's not even qualified to enter a first-rate school. It's just an excuse for the sake of the fifth Grand Elder. Yes. Let alone you guys, even I won't accept this kind of person. I know Li Mubai. He's a coward who bullies the weak and fears the strong. Maybe if we teach him a lesson he might give up voluntarily. Yes. It's okay if he doesn't give up. Beat him until he gives up voluntarily. However, the 6 of us shouldn't make a move before the list is announced. We don't want the sect leader and the fifth Grand Elder to be prejudiced against us. If that happens, others may take advantage of us. Let's do it. It's not a problem to teach him a lesson. Ah, that's right. I'm the weakest here. I'll go first. Good. That's a brother. Let's go now. Don't rush. Let's wait and see. Some people may be more anxious than us. Let's wait a few days. Anyway, there's still a month before the list is announced. Li Mubai. Just as Chen Hao was about to use the extreme spirit cultivation technique to steal the sky from the source of his soul, a cold voice suddenly came from outside the palace. His voice was loud and clear and it was filled with Zhen Yuan. As long as one was not deaf, anyone within the palace complex of Daluo Jingxian could hear it. You're here so soon? Chen Hao frowned slightly, and then he stood up and opened the door of the palace, and he seemed as if he didn't notice their overbearing appearances as he smiled and cupped his fists. Isn't this Senior Brother Zhang, Senior Brother Li, Senior Brother Zhao, Senior Brother Wang and Senior Brother Qing? What wind blew you all here? Come in. Junior Brother will treat you all to a drink. There's no need to drink. I heard that you've received the recognition of the fifth Grand Elder and obtained the qualifications to enter the secret realm? The leader of the group, whom Chen Hao addressed as Senior Brother Zhang, stared at Chen Hao with a provocative and threatening gaze. This person's full name was Zhang Chong, and he was one of the disciples of the Hunyuan sect's Daluo Golden Wonderland who had the potential to obtain the qualifications to enter the secret realm. His character was irritable, but his talent was extremely strong. Chi. At this time, streams of light came from all directions and approached Li Mubai's palace. Obviously they had heard the cold shout and came to watch the show. Li Mubai was only above average among the disciples of the entire Hunyuan sect's Daluo Golden Wonderland. There were too many people who were unconvinced that he had obtained the qualifications to enter the secret realm. Even those who were not as strong as him were unconvinced. Not to mention those who were stronger than him. Senior Brother is really smart. Sure enough, there are people who are more anxious than us. Among the people who came, there was a group of people who were planning to teach Li Mubai a lesson. They secretly transmitted their voices and floated leisurely in the void not far away, ready to watch the show. Yeah, Senior Brother Zhang, I didn't expect all of you to come and congratulate me so soon. Chen Hao unexpectedly revealed a proud and excited expression as he let out a silly laugh, causing the disciples who rushed over to be speechless for a while. Could it be that this guy's brain was smashed by a pie that fell from the sky? Even an idiot would know that the other party was not here to congratulate him, but to find trouble. Countless powerful divine senses that the people present could not sense also locked onto this place at this moment. The fifth Grand Elder Tian Wanxiang was no exception. However, after hearing Chen Hao's words, the two of them were stunned at first, but then they both nodded. This attitude was enough to prove that Li Mubai had made up his mind. His act of foolishness was completely to provoke the other party. Congratulations, Li Mubai. Let me ask you, what qualifications do you have to enter? You can barely make it as an elite disciple of a second-rate school. Do you have any self-awareness? Zhang Chong said provocatively and disdainfully. What are you talking about? Look at yourself. Those who can enter the secret realm are all top geniuses of our Hunyuan sect. Which one of them is not the top elite of a first-rate school? Yes, if I were you, I would withdraw myself so as not to make a fool of myself and waste resources. In the face of disdain and ridicule, Qin Hao pretended to be stupid and smiled indifferently. Finally, he frowned and ignored the people who supported him. He looked directly at Zhang Chong and said, "Senior brother Zhang, am I really that bad? I'm at least above average in our Hunyuan sect's Daoyuo Golden Wonderland, right?" You have the nerve to say above average? Bullshit. It can't be, right? We're brothers of the same sect. I respect you as a senior brother. Although you're stronger, you can't look down on others. If I'm bullshit, then wouldn't my junior brothers and sisters be? Qin Hao's voice suddenly weakened until it was almost inaudible. Wouldn't they be bullshit? Voila. Almost in an instant, many disciples who were weaker than Li Mubai looked at Zhang Chong in unison. Obviously, this guy's words without thinking, coupled with Qin Hao's deliberate guidance, made these disciples a little unhappy. Of course, no one was stupid. They wouldn't provoke a genius like Zhang Chong just because of this sentence. The disciples who were stronger than Li Mubai, especially those who had a competitive relationship with Zhang Chong, burst out laughing unscrupulously. It's important to know one's own limits. Senior brother Zhang didn't say anything about others. Li Mubai, it seems that you've grown up. It's only been a few hundred years since we last met, and you've become a lot bolder after returning from the experience. Come, let alone senior brother Zhang, even I am not convinced. What makes you worthy of being chosen by the fifth Grand Elder? What makes you qualified to enter the secret realm? I challenge you now, do you dare to accept? Chapter 946. Are you doubting the vision of the fifth Supreme Elder? A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at with new eyes, not to mention a few hundred years. I did have some good luck, and the fifth Supreme Elder also said that I was a late bloomer. Once I was enlightened, I could soar to the 9th heaven. If you want to challenge me, I will accept. Very well, if you lose, you will automatically give up your qualification. Don't make a fool of yourself, you are not worthy. Whether I am worthy or not, it is not up to you to decide. Winning and losing is a common thing for practitioners. Don't be arrogant if you win, don't be discouraged if you lose. Cut the crap. If you want to challenge me, then come. Don't talk about my qualification to enter the secret wonderland. This qualification was set by the sect leader, and I will definitely take it. Qin Hao's expression became cold and his eyes were even sharper. This made those who knew Li Mubai a little surprised. Could it be that this guy had really made progress in just a few hundred years of experience? The noisy crowd, with Qin Hao's words, instantly calmed down. Good, well said. This boy has surpassed his master, huh? That's right. In the distance, Tian Wanxiang and the fifth Supreme Elder both nodded. Although the battle had not yet started, Li Mubai's words were powerful, neither servile nor overbearing, and were very strategic. As for whether he was brave or not, it would depend on his performance. Of course, the two of them did not think that Li Mubai would have any amazing performance now. The guy who challenged Li Mubai knew that Li Mubai would not give up the qualification to enter the secret wonderland so easily, but he did not expect that Li Mubai would refuse so directly. At the same time, Li Mubai's cold and sharp eyes made him extremely angry. Was he a coward that even someone like Li Mubai was not afraid of him? You don't know what's good for you. I will teach you a lesson first. See you in the martial arts practice field. Boom. The challenger who stood up for Zhang Chong suddenly shot out and flew as fast as lightning to the martial arts practice field in the core of the Daoyuo Jingxian Palace area. Do you think I am afraid of you? Qin Hao said in a cold voice. His figure also shot out in an instant. Li Mubai's speed is actually so fast? What surprised many people was that Qin Hao's figure was like a rock spreading its wings. His speed was even faster than the challengers who were ranked hundreds of places higher than him. In the distance, even Tian Wanxiang was slightly surprised. However, when he thought about how Li Mubai had chased the immortal destiny for more than 200 years in the chaotic space, it was somewhat understandable. On the other hand, the fifth Grand Elder did not feel anything. After all, his understanding of Li Mubai was limited to this period of time. The previous Li Mubai was simply not qualified to attract his attention. This brat has indeed improved a little, but it's still far from enough. The disciples of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland realm of the Hunyuan sect would hold a ranking battle every 1,000 years. Within 1,000 years after the ranking battle, any disciple who was not satisfied with their ranking could choose to challenge them. Therefore, in the Hunyuan sect, challenges were commonplace. The martial arts practice field was managed by the top masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm at all times. In fact, Li Mubai's sudden occupation of a place caused so many people to be dissatisfied and challenge him. In addition to the importance of the secret grotto heaven, it was also related to the selection conditions. The qualification to enter the secret grotto heaven was not completely based on the ranking. There was basically no problem for the top 20. Among the bottom 10, the first few places were also not a big problem. However, the last 4 or 5 places were often not completely based on the ranking. Some comprehensive factors had to be taken into consideration. The probability of a cultivator in the top 30 was naturally higher, but it was also possible to be in the top 50 or even the top 100. Therefore, Li Mubai's sudden occupation of a place caused so many people to be unconcealed and ostracized. Take this. When the challenger saw that Li Mubai had entered the martial arts practice field before him, his face became even more embarrassed. Without thinking, he punched out in the air. Boom! The huge shadow of the fist, which contained 100% of his strength, rushed toward Chen Hao like a huge mountain. Mountain Sea Divine Fist? Through Li Mubai's memory, Chen Hao recognized at a glance that his opponent was using the ultimate technique of the Hunyuan sect's Daluo Golden Wonderland, the Mountain Sea Divine Fist. The fist intent was like a mountain and the fist force was like the roar of the sea. The fist could shatter mountains and break seas. Boom! Chen Hao's fighting spirit suddenly erupted. His essence, qi and spirit soared into the sky. At the same time, he punched out to meet the attack. It was the same Mountain Sea Divine Fist. It would be easy for Chen Hao to defeat this person. However, this was Chen Hao, not Li Mubai. This person's ranking was more than 100 places higher than his in the ranking competition 200 years ago. Now, although they were both at the peak of the late stage of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, in terms of absolute strength he was obviously stronger than Li Mubai. However, that was 200 years ago. Moreover, this guy was not in the top 100. Chen Hao could not perform too amazingly all of a sudden. However, if he improved by a lot as long as it was not too exaggerated, he believed that even Li Mubai's master would only be surprised and would not suspect anything. Moreover, the 5th Grand Elder had said that his comprehension was amazing. Could it be that he was a late bloomer? This was a test of Chen Hao's strength. He had to control it well. He had to win, and he had to win in a way that was not too exaggerated. Boom! The fist shadows collided. The terrifying shockwave was like a landslide and a tsunami. Chen Hao, who was standing on the martial arts practice field, was pushed back thousands of feet, leaving deep footprints on the ground. As for the challenger who was pressing down from the void, his body only bounced back up by 20 feet before he pressed down again. Boom boom boom. In an instant there were thousands of fist shadows, each stronger than the last. As Chen Hao retreated, he also quickly punched out. Although he was obviously completely suppressed by his opponent, his cold and firm eyes showed no fear and did not panic. Is that all you have? Trash. Kneel down for me. Chi. After the challenger forced Chen Hao to retreat step by step and gain the absolute upper hand, he shouted with disdain and ridicule. Suddenly, he integrated all kinds of magical powers into his fist. What he wanted was not only to defeat Chen Hao, but also to humiliate him. Only in this way could he achieve his goal. He wanted to let everyone see how such a coward was qualified to enter the secret realm. 18 magical powers condensed into the Mountain Sea Divine Fist. Amazing. Chen Hao could not help but secretly praise. Even if he could annihilate his opponent with a wave of his hand, his combat skills and magical powers were definitely much stronger than those of the top geniuses in the vast universe galaxy. Chen Hao also knew the reason. This was also the reason why he felt excited about the chaotic vast thousand worlds when he first got Li Mubai's memory. The cultivation environment of a sect and the way to improve the strength of a sect's disciples were not something that the vast universe galaxy could compare with. Secondly, the various levels of academies that gathered all young cultivators in the vast universe world were also the most suitable places for cultivators to grow. Unfortunately, although Li Mubai's aptitude and strength could be regarded as a top genius in the entire chaotic vast thousand worlds, he was mediocre in a top sect like the Hunyuan sect. He was not even qualified to enter a first-class academy. I'll fight for you all. While he was thinking on the surface, Qin Hao crazily gathered his strength and condensed Li Mubai's supreme unique skill into his fist. It was still a fight. Chapter 947. Rumble. The endless immortal light was like heavy shackles that shrouded Qin Hao the moment the fist shadows collided. Qin Hao felt that his soul and body were about to be bound, and his knees were about to kneel down uncontrollably. Kneel. Kneel for me. As Qin Hao's fleshly body got closer and closer, Qin Hao's knees began to buckle bit by bit. Blood trickled down the corners of his mouth, and the pores all over his body turned bright red from the pressure. It was as if blood was about to spurt out, and the bones in his body began to emit ear-piercing cracking sounds. Rumble. But at this moment Qin Hao's face flashed with complete anger and madness. His essence, qi, spirit, true essence, and physical strength were all burning crazily, as if a small universe had erupted, and he shattered the divine power laws that bound and humiliated his opponent. Puff. He spat out a mouthful of essence blood. This burst of power that exceeded his body's capacity caused him to suffer serious internal injuries. You can break through? Well, let's see how I'll beat you until you kneel and beg for mercy. The challenger said arrogantly. As he spoke, he didn't even use the divine power laws and directly rushed toward Qin Hao. Obviously, at this time, it was more exciting and humiliating to be suppressed in close combat. Qin Hao's eyes were scarlet and he was like an injured wild wolf. His expression was twisted and he clenched his teeth and suddenly burst out with a roar. His long hair fluttered and his Taoist robe swelled. An extremely heavy and violent punch seemed to want to suck out all his strength, and it was completely condensed on his fist as he punched out. Close combat. No one knew whether Li Mubai was too injured to dodge or fight from a distance, or whether Li Mubai's brain was flooded with water. It was obvious that he would choose this method to trample on his opponent. But at the moment when Qin Hao's arm was fully extended and his fist was completely out, his whole body suddenly shot out like a fully drawn bow. Boom. Dazzling immortal light burst out from his fist. What? The level of the laws of divine ability can actually break through the barrier during battle? At this moment, among the crowd, cultivators with higher cultivations cried out in surprise. Good. This brat was finally enlightened. According to his comprehension ability, he should have broken through long ago. Without any misgivings, he boldly let go. Under this kind of extremely humiliating suppression, he broke through the dam and broke through the barrier. Very good, very good. He has just begun to show his edge. The fifth Grand Elder, who was watching the battle from afar, immediately said excitedly, repeatedly saying good. Li Mubai's comprehension ability and the fact that he was able to make a breakthrough in his comprehension of the heavenly Tao laws in the midst of battle had surprised even him. After all, Li Mubai had cultivated for tens of thousands of years. It was not easy for him to change his mentality and nature. But now it seemed that Li Mubai was far more malleable than he had imagined. The fifth Grand Elder even felt that this might be Li Mubai's true nature. His previous personality and mentality were completely caused by his master Tianwanxiang not being strong enough in the way he was trained. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Is this still my disciple? Looks like I've really buried this brat's talent. Fifth Grand Elder is still the best. You're simply enlightening him with wisdom and enlightening him. Tianwanxiang was so excited that his beard trembled. At this moment, even he began to suspect that his way of training was really wrong. Or rather, the previous him did not really understand his disciple at all. Bang. Bang 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 bang. When the real fists collided, the challenger, who was confident of victory, cried out in shock and anger. Immediately, Qin Hao's violent attack of hundreds and thousands of punches rained down like a torrential rain, forcing the challenger to desperately block each move. This sudden reversal not only made the challenger unable to accept it, but also made the onlookers so surprised that they could not close their mouths. Qin Hao took advantage of the moment when his opponent was shocked and seized the opportunity to wildly punch, not giving his opponent any room to maneuver. Each punch was stronger than the previous one, fiercer than the previous one, and fiercer than the previous one. Fortunately, his opponent was not a chicken or pottery dog. Even if Qin Hao had increased the level of his Tao laws and his absolute power had soared, he was not much stronger than his opponent. Of course, this was exactly what Qin Hao wanted. Even so, under Qin Hao's violent attacks, the challenger, who had lost the initiative, was completely suppressed. In close combat, the law of divine powers condensed on the physical body. After only 2 minutes he could no longer keep up with Qin Hao's rhythm. Roar. Qin Hao seized the opportunity and condensed all the strength in his body into a punch. He suddenly burst out with a roar and punched out. Bang. Boom. Ah. Amid a scream of shock and anger, the challenger was punched in the chest by Qin Hao. Like a kite with a broken string, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His chest caved in like a fist and he was sent flying backward. Whoosh. A stream of light flashed and Qin Hao rose into the air, chased after him and stomped his foot down. Bang. The training ground shook. Under the shocked eyes of the crowd, Qin Hao stomped on the challenger's knees. His large hand, which contained streaks of immortal light, grabbed the challenger's neck from behind and forced him to kneel on the ground. Who's kneeling? Do you really think that I, Li Mubai, am a pushover? Enough. Duan Qin admits defeat. At this moment Zhang Chong said sternly. His expression was extremely ugly. Everyone knew that the person who had challenged Duan Qin was his lackey. But now he was being stomped under the feet of a mediocre person like Li Mubai and forced to kneel on the ground. This was a slap to his face. It was too embarrassing. Humph, even a clay figurine has its limits. Remember to keep your dog under control. It's fine if you're strong, but if you're not, why did you come out to bite me? You're courting death. Qin Hao's eyes were still red and he spoke as if he could not restrain his anger. He turned his head to look at Zhang Chong and he was not afraid at all. As he spoke, he kicked the completely bound Duan Qin and sent him flying in Zhang Chong's direction. I, Li Mubai, am indeed mediocre. But since I'm recognized by the 5th Grand Elder and received the sect leader's promise to give me the right to enter the secret land, I'm naturally qualified. My strength may be weak now, but no one can force me to give up my spot. If you want to challenge me, bring it on. No matter who it is, I'll accept it. Don't tell me that I'll give up my spot if I lose. I don't care if I win or lose. As for my spot, no one can force me to give it up. After a few hundred years of experience, I'm in need of a battle. I welcome any challenge. Whoosh. Qin Hao's voice resounded throughout the area. After he finished speaking, he turned into a stream of light and left quickly. Before he entered his palace, he finally could not hold back and spat out a mouthful of blood. He staggered to open the palace door and disappeared from everyone's sight. Good, you're brave and resourceful. The 5th Grand Elder disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he had quietly arrived at Li Mubai's palace. The restriction of the palace was useless to a Dao-severing genuine immortal like him. Qin Hao did not even sense the slightest fluctuation before the 5th Grand Elder appeared in front of him. Chapter 948. Greetings, Qi. Qin Hao had just opened his mouth when the 5th Grand Elder pointed a finger at him. In the blink of an eye, streaks of crystalline light of different colors connected Qin Hao and the 5th Grand Elder like tentacles. No need to say more. Leave the healing to me. You should have gained a lot from this battle. Digest it well and consolidate the realm of Taoist principles first. Qin Hao felt the extremely pure energy of different attributes flowing through his meridians. He looked at the 5th Grand Elder gratefully and slowly closed his eyes. Li Mubai, I'll give you 1 day to heal. See you tomorrow at the training field at this time. At this moment, Zhang Chong's gnashing voice pierced through the air. Qin Hao frowned slightly but did not pay attention to it. He directly entered the state of comprehension and cultivation. Phew. When Qin Hao opened his eyes again, Li Mubai's physical injuries were not only completely healed but also slightly tempered by the energy of a Dao-severing genuine immortal. Healing is actually a kind of cultivation. If it were any other time, I would naturally not help you. That would be spoiling things through excessive enthusiasm. The gains do not make up for the losses. However, this time is an exception. You only need to work hard on the in-depth understanding of the divine power law. As long as you improve, I can make your physical body match the strongest power you can use. Your performance today is not bad, but it is far from enough. Continue to work hard. Yes, 5th Grand Elder. Zhang Chong is very likely to be qualified for the Secret Realm Grotto Heaven. Tomorrow's battle will be a life and death battle. There is no need to have any scruples. The master in charge of the training field will take the initiative to stop the battle when any of you is in danger of dying. Okay. Qin Hao nodded firmly. Well, you can cultivate on your own. As soon as he finished speaking, the fifth Grand Elder disappeared into thin air. Qin Hao took a deep breath and closed his eyes again. Zhang Chong ranked 46 200 years ago. I didn't participate in the last 2 ranking tournaments. Perhaps he has improved, or else he wouldn't have the chance to qualify for the Grotto Heaven. Defeat and victory are indeed 2 different outcomes. Qin Hao thought to himself. If he were to lose today's battle, Zhang Chong would not challenge him so soon. But today he had won. Moreover, he had broken through the realm of the divine ability laws in the midst of battle, erupting with even greater battle prowess. Sim then. Before the battle tomorrow, I must first finish devouring, refining, and fusing with his soul origin. After pondering for a moment, Qin Hao made up his mind. If he wanted to steal the sky and swap the sun under the eyes of the fifth Grand Elder in Tianwanxiang, there must be no flaws. He had to start from the most fundamental part of the soul origin. He didn't have to destroy Li Mubai's soul origin, but let his own soul origin penetrate it bit by bit, completely occupy it, then devour, refine, and imitate it bit by bit. It had to be done bit by bit, especially at the beginning. It couldn't be fast. This was like completely changing all the materials of a tall building, but couldn't be rebuilt and couldn't attract anyone's attention. The only way was to tear down a brick and replace it with a different material. Starting from the brick that looked exactly the same on the surface, replacing it bit by bit, and finally replacing the entire building without attracting any attention. Infiltrate, devour, refine a bit, imitate a bit, imitate a bit, infiltrate again, devour, refine a bit, imitate a bit. Such a cycle repeated over and over again until the simulation was complete. It was extremely difficult to do any one of these things. It required extremely high control and precise control of the soul, as well as having the power to absolutely suppress the other party's soul origin. The most difficult thing was to imitate the aura. Not to mention Daoyuo Jingxian, even the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm couldn't do it. Even a cutting Dao true immortal would find it difficult to do it, because not everyone had the 3,000 great paths, which were almost the most mysterious and profound laws of the universe. There weren't many extreme path spiritual cultivators who spent their entire lives studying the spiritual cultivation secret arts for the healing and growth of the soul. Similarly, not everyone knew the Carving Heart Sutra that integrated everything in the world. All kinds of factors were indispensable. It wasn't strange to be proficient in 1, rare to be proficient in 2, and basically impossible to be proficient in 3. But Qin Hao had condensed all of these into 1. Phew. Let's begin. In an instant, Qin Hao's mind was completely integrated into his mind. He began the first step of stealing the sky and swapping the sun. Fuck. Fortunately, you're wise and powerful, senior brother. Otherwise, if I were to go up today, I'm afraid I'd be utterly embarrassed. Yes, I didn't expect Li Mubai to be able to break through the realm of comprehending the laws of the divine powers in battle. His combat power directly soared by 40%. I don't know if this guy has accumulated enough or if he's forced to erupt his potential. If it's the former, we're really at the bottom of the valley. If it's the latter, I can only say that he's just lucky. You're wrong. I think the latter is more terrifying. Such a person will become stronger the more he's forced. The more he fights, the more his potential will erupt. Such a person is definitely a natural battle maniac. I hope that he's accumulated enough and improved through channels. Is he as powerful as you say? Of course. Think about it. If he's very strong, then you'll be mentally prepared from the beginning. If you're no match for him, you naturally won't provoke him. If you provoke him, you'll naturally be able to crush him. But he suddenly erupted at the last moment and made a comeback. What does that mean? Today, if Duanqin had been mentally prepared, he might not have lost. People who can stimulate their potential at the last moment are usually people who can create miracles. Because at the beginning, they're all people who are looked down upon. That makes sense. What you're saying is too incredible. Do you think I don't know Li Mubai? In my opinion, he just got lucky and suddenly had a burst of strength. It's impossible for him to erupt this time. However, he's indeed much stronger than he was a few hundred years ago. It seems that he must have obtained some kind of opportunity and improved a lot. We'll see tomorrow. A salted fish turning over a new leaf. It seems that the fifth Grand Elder has taken a fancy to Li Mubai. Perhaps he's really special. The strength he displayed in today's battle is probably enough to enter the top 100 of the Hunyuan sect's Daoyuo Jingxian. Could it be that he's a late bloomer, a dragon soaring into the 9 heavens after comprehending the Tao overnight? Dream on. He's improved a little. Dragon soaring into the 9 heavens? Don't laugh at me. Let's see tomorrow. He'll definitely be beaten down by Zhang Chong. On this day, Li Mubai's eruption set off a hurricane in the Daluo Golden Wonderland Circle. Chapter 949. Imperceptibly, those who had previously described Li Mubai as a dog's fart no longer dared to belittle him, even though they still felt that he was not qualified to obtain a place to enter the secret realm. Even some of the elders who were secretly paying attention to this matter were slightly surprised. As for the initiators who had added fuel to the fire in order for their disciples to obtain a place to enter the secret realm, they were very unhappy. Especially Zhang Chong's master, who was even more unhappy. He was unhappy that Li Mubai was able to break through and counterattack. At the same time, he was unhappy that Zhang Chong was as impulsive as his name suggested. Previously, he had warned him not to be too hasty. Now Ma Qianzu had been slapped in the face and Zhang Chong's challenge had been pushed to the forefront. Even he, as the master, had lost face. The next day at dusk, under the afterglow of the setting sun, the Daluo Jingxian Palace district, which was originally like a fairyland, was now covered with a gorgeous and colorful glow. The battle between Li Mubai and Duan Qin yesterday had broken out at this point. At this moment, the entire martial arts practice field was filled with many more Daluo Golden Wonderland cultivators than yesterday. Obviously, a large portion of them had rushed back to the sect from other places after receiving the news. Zhang Chong had already arrived at the martial arts practice field and was sitting cross-legged with his eyes slightly closed. His entire aura was extremely calm, as though he had blended into the heaven and earth. Under the glow of the sunset, he shone brightly. The time has come. Li Mubai, when are you going to appear? Amidst the buzz of discussion, a cultivator in the crowd suddenly stretched out his neck and roared. His voice directly penetrated the void and reverberated throughout heaven and earth. You boasted so shamelessly yesterday. Are you going to be a coward today? Another voice sounded. Both of them were in Zhang Chong's group. However, Duan Qin, who had been beaten to the point of kneeling and humiliating by Qin Hao yesterday, did not appear. Naturally, this was not because his injuries were too severe. At their cultivation level, as long as their souls were not severely damaged, they would recover very quickly. One day was enough. Obviously, he was too ashamed to appear. There's still no movement. Could it be that he's really scared? What puzzled everyone was that the two's provocative shouts could be heard even from tens of thousands of kilometers away. Li Mubai clearly knew that there was a battle today, so it was impossible for him to still be in closed-door cultivation at this time, so there was no reason for him not to hear their shouts. However, Li Mubai's palace did not move at all, nor did it respond. Li Mubai, are you playing dumb? Or are you afraid that senior martial brother Zhang will beat you until you wet your pants and beg for mercy? You coward, didn't you clamor so happily yesterday? The two of them became even more aggressive, and their curses became more and more unpleasant. Fuck, to think that I was still admiring his courage and improvement yesterday. Now that I've risen to the occasion, he's gone. Looks like he was blinded by his victory yesterday. That's why he shamelessly welcomed the challenge. A coward will always be a coward. How boring. The people in the crowd who were watching the show were also unhappy and started to curse. Wasn't this a waste of energy? They had waited for so long in vain. They had been looking forward to the exciting battle and humiliating show today. There's one last thing. No one knew that Qin Hao had reached the most critical moment of stealing the sky and swapping the sun of his soul origin. His entire person was immersed in the cultivation room, and his appearance was calm as if he was immersed in some kind of deep level of comprehension. However, in the great world of his mind, under the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, terrifying immortal light was blooming. The majestic and terrifying soul power condensed into endless runes, causing the sea of spirit springs within tens of thousands of kilometers around him to set off monstrous waves. This was something that could not be helped. Qin Hao had to complete all his work in his great world of mind. Otherwise, his master would be fine, but the fifth great elder, who was a Tao-severing true immortal, could see his situation with just a thought. What would happen if this abnormal fluctuation was discovered? What's going on? This kid has just broken through the barrier of the divine power law. Is he going to break through again? Indeed, the fifth great elder's divine sense had quietly penetrated Qianhao's palace. He was slightly moved when he sensed Qianhao's aura. Anyone who saw Qianhao's aura could tell that he was in the midst of a profound comprehension. The fifth great elder could not help but be surprised. Boom, 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 crash. The sea of spirit springs suddenly exploded in all directions with Qianhao's soul and the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree as the core. Endless Tao laws rolled and waves of qi soared into the sky. It's done. Qianhao suddenly opened his eyes in the cultivation room and said excitedly. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned into a stream of light and rushed out of the palace. It's done? Did he really break through again? The fifth great elder was really shocked this time. His powerful perception could clearly sense that Li Mubai's soul aura had become much stronger and sharper. This was not an increase in soul power. No one could increase soul power, which was the hardest thing to increase in just a day. Instead, it was a change in the nature of the soul. If Li Mubai was compared to a sword, then yesterday he was a sword that had not been sharpened. Today he had been sharpened and its edge was on full display. This is definitely a monstrous genius. After opening the apertures, it's like being reborn, cleansing his meridians and marrow. He's a real dragon in the abyss. Good, it's lucky that I discovered it early. Otherwise, who knows how many old fellows would want to snatch it from me? The fifth great elder laughed excitedly in his palace, his beard trembling. Little Tian, get over here. Fifth great elder, what orders do you have? Seeing his disciple Li Mubai rush out of the palace, Tian Wanxiang, who was relieved, was suddenly shocked by the fifth great elder's voice transmission. Cough cough. Okay, disciple will immediately get over there. The fifth great elder was amused by Tian Wanxiang. When one was in a good mood, one would be happy about anything. Who says I don't dare? It's just the right time. Just when everyone was looking down on Li Mubai, the door of Li Mubai's palace suddenly opened. At the same time, Li Mubai's voice was like a sharp sword piercing through the air. A stream of light flashed past. Li Mubai was as fast as lightning in the middle of the martial arts practice field. Fuck, what a fast speed. It can't be, he's so much faster than yesterday. How is this possible? Could it be that this guy was still hiding his strength yesterday? Qianhao's appearance caused countless people to be surprised. But Qianhao didn't care at all. All of this was within Qianhao's expectations. Accidents, he also needed to have the ability to create accidents. His soul force didn't change, and the transformation of his soul origin, he believed that this kind of change was reasonable and there was no flaw. He had already completed the first step of stealing the sun. At this moment, no one would be able to discover that he wasn't Li Mubai unless they entered his soul origin. Chapter 950. Zhang Chong, who was sitting cross-legged like an old monk in meditation, suddenly opened his eyes the moment Qianhao stepped onto the martial arts practice field. Boom. His eyes were as sharp as swords and his essence, qi and spirit erupted like a volcano. With a boom, his fighting spirit soared crazily, and an overwhelming pressure swept out, shocking the surrounding cultivators. 20 years ago, Zhang Chong was ranked 41st in the Primordial Chaos Sect's most recent 100-year ranking competition for golden immortal disciples of the great all-embracing heaven. He was indeed several places higher than Li Mubai remembered his ranking 200 years ago. It didn't seem big, but after reaching the peak of the late stage of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland, it would be difficult to make any progress in 1,000 years, let alone hundreds of years. To be able to rise several places in a short 200 years was already quite outstanding. Because of this, even though Zhang Chong was ranked 41st, he was very likely to be qualified to enter the secret realm. If he could rise to the 5th or 6th place with his progress in the past 200 years, his chances would be greater than those who were ranked ahead of him. However, it was precisely because his ranking was a few places behind that the situation became very complicated. If Qianhao took another place, his chances would be reduced by more than half. This was also the reason why he was more anxious than those who were ranked higher. Amazing! To everyone's surprise, Zhang Chong stared at Li Mubai and said these two words. It seems that yesterday's outburst was not without reason. In the ranking competition 300 years ago, You were just a mediocre character. The strength you showed yesterday was already amazing, but today you give me the feeling that you are even stronger. Maybe you are really a late bloomer for the 5th Grand Elder to take a fancy to you. Li Mubai, I underestimated you. Today if I can't defeat you within 100 moves, you will be qualified to enter the secret realm. And my challenge today is just the beginning. Zhang Chong will definitely get a place to enter the secret realm. Playing. As soon as Zhang Chong's voice fell, a scarlet waterfall bloomed from between his eyebrows. In an instant, the temperature of the entire martial arts practice field suddenly became abnormally hot. Saber Dao. What does Zhang Chong mean? While the crowd was surprised by Zhang Chong's seriousness, they were also slightly confused by Zhang Chong's words. It's very simple. Li Mubai's speed was so fast that there are no more than 50 people here who can match him. Although his current aura was not as strong as yesterday, it gave people a feeling of sharpness as if he had been reborn. 300 years ago, what was Li Mubai's ranking? More than 4,000. What about today, 300 years later? If he could take 100 moves from Zhang Chong, then he would definitely be comparable to the top 50 experts. This rate of improvement was extremely terrifying. Since ancient times, the disciples of the secret realm have not been selected solely based on the ranking of combat power. And Zhang Chong is now ranked 41st. Li Mubai has taken a place. If he wants to enter again, he has to show more strength. That's why he said that the challenge is just the beginning. Phew, this is going to be interesting. There will be a good show to watch. That's right. There's still one more month before the list is announced. There will be a good show in this month. It wasn't so lively in the past. At most, there would be people who would challenge a few days before the list was announced. After all, the secret realm only opens once every 10 years. For us, it's hard to improve even in 100 or 1,000 years. That's right. This Li Mubai must have gotten some great opportunity. He didn't participate in the previous 2 ranking competitions, but after returning from the experience, he has improved so much. The crowd discussed animatedly. At this moment, although the battle had not started, Qin Hao's appearance and Zhang Chong's words made everyone unable to underestimate Li Mubai anymore. However, Zhang Chong's tone suddenly changed. His calm expression suddenly became sinister. No matter if you can last 100 moves, I will beat you to the ground. I will make you kneel in front of me and seek justice for junior brother Duan Qin. Ruthless. I said this is the real Zhang Chong. Zhang Chong is famous for being hot-tempered, but he's very loyal. Duan Qin stood up for him. If he doesn't return the favor, then he wouldn't be Zhang Chong. That's expected. At this moment, all eyes were on Li Mubai. Zhang Chong's words were so ruthless. Even if Li Mubai's improvement was amazing, it was inevitable that he would be humiliated today. Under everyone's gaze, Qin Hao, whose fighting spirit was soaring but whose expression was solemn, suddenly smiled and said, "Ridiculous. Don't forget who was the one who said that he wanted the other to kneel. Now you want to talk about justice with me? You're just asking to be humiliated. If you have the ability, then come at me. It's not certain who will be the one to kneel. Don't think that you're strong now, but you'll always be strong. A fair duel is nothing more than winning or losing. If you humiliate me, then you should be prepared to be humiliated 100 times more in the future." As soon as he finished speaking, the smile on Qin Hao's face vanished completely, and his gaze became ghastly and fierce to the extreme. Where was this the Li Mubai who bullied the weak and feared the strong? Qin Hao's words clearly expressed a message. That was, he was indeed a little weak now. Perhaps he was not Zhang Chong's opponent at all, but it did not mean that he would always be inferior. Whoever humiliated him today, he would return it 100 times more in the future. Showing off his ability, showing off his magnificence. This made the surrounding cultivators, especially those who were prepared to be the pawns of others to humiliate Qin Hao, shudder. If Li Mubai was really the mediocre person of the past, it would be fine. But now, the feeling Li Mubai gave people had completely changed. Especially when they thought of the amazing improvement after returning this time, these people had no choice but to reconsider. Zhang Chong was also choked by Qin Hao's fierce counterattack, and his expression became extremely ugly. "You've got guts. See how I humiliate you today. I'd like to see how strong you can be in the future. Take this." Zhang Chong roared angrily, and the large saber that was blooming with crimson light, which was obviously a top-grade saint artifact, suddenly swept out. Immediately, a fiery red waterfall containing terrifying power and divine ability laws swept out at a violent speed, as if cutting the void into two, and slashed at Qin Hao's waist. In a flash he was in front of Qin Hao. The violent and terrifying power was mixed with a frightening sharpness, and even Qin Hao could feel the strength of this guy. It had to be said that Zhang Chong was indeed very strong, as he could be ranked 41st in the top Hunyuan sect Daluo Golden Wonderland. Indeed, he was not someone that Li Mubai could contend with at the moment, but only Li Mubai and not Qin Hao himself. Mountain Sea Divine Fist. Boom. Qin Hao's pupils shrank and he suddenly soared into the air and punched out. A violent wind raged and Dao laws rolled. The fist intent was monstrous, and it was definitely more than 60% stronger than yesterday. Dodge? Humph, I'd like to see how you dodge it. Chi 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 chi. At that instant, streams of crimson light streaked across the sky. The saber glows were dazzling. The sharp and violent saber chi mixed with a ferocious and terrifying force slashed at Qin Hao. Suddenly, a terrifying rumbling sound came from under his feet as he violently charged towards Qin Hao. 10,000 saber astrals, 10,000 layers of heaven. Violent true essence gushed out from his large saber, and one could not see the saber vibrate at all. Countless crimson red saber auras directly appeared in front of him. The terrifying cutting force and strangling force seemed to have divided the void into layers of heaven and earth, and its momentum was shocking to the extreme. No one had expected that Zhang Chong, who was infuriated by Qin Hao's provocation, would actually directly display such a terrifying ultimate move. 100% of his strength, 10 layers of magical powers without holding back. At this time, everyone thought that Li Mubai would definitely be scared out of his wits and retreat. However, boom. Qin Hao's eyes, which were already scarlet red, seemed to be blind to this. Roar. He let out a furious roar like that of a wild beast. The symbols that had condensed were all blasted out along with his wild punch. Throng. At this time, everyone could clearly feel that Li Mubai, who seemed to have gone crazy, had once again broken through his own limits with this punch, and an extremely terrifying power erupted. As Qin Hao punched out, his body bloomed with dazzling light, and the energy of heaven and earth within 1,000 miles surged and was almost drained in an instant. At the same time, everyone was shocked to find that Qin Hao's punch was rapidly increasing in size. Not only did it drain the energy of heaven and earth, but it also drained Qin Hao's spirit, physical strength, and true essence under the connection of Qin Hao's divine thoughts. A crazed and furious roar gushed out from Qin Hao's mouth, but this time, everyone could hear the extreme terror and pain contained within it. What's going on? Confusion and sparks appeared in everyone's hearts. Oh no. 9 restrictions. Rumble. When Qin Hao's heaven-defying punch collided with Zhang Chong's 10,000 saber energies, an earth-shattering airwave erupted. At this moment, the peak late-stage master of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm who was guarding the martial arts practice field exclaimed, "Oh no," and suddenly attacked. At the same time, the words 9 restrictions came from the 5th Great Elder's mouth. He disappeared from the palace as if he had broken through the void and arrived above the training field with a single step. He arrived before Qin Hao and his brilliant celestial light enveloped Qin Hao. Bam! However, before the immortal light could reach him, Qin Hao's body, which had been sucked dry by the lightning sparks, turned into fine powder and scattered into the void. His physical body was destroyed. 5th Grand Elder, save me! In the horrifying explosion, Li Mubai's vital spirit cried for help in horror. Qi. The immortal light, which had paused for a moment, suddenly penetrated the layers of explosions and protected Qin Hao's vital spirit. At the same time, all the raging saber energy and fist energy suddenly disappeared. The world suddenly became extremely quiet, and not even a wisp of dust was left. Everyone was shocked by this sudden turn of events. They stared blankly at the martial arts practice field, at the 5th Grand Elder who stood proudly, at Li Mubai's vital spirit who was enveloped in the immortal light, and at Zhang Chong who was also dumbfounded. No, it's not me. I didn't expect. Zhang Chong looked at the 5th Grand Elder in horror and said with trepidation. I've failed in my duty. Please punish me, Fifth Grand Elder. Hong Meng, who was guarding the martial arts practice field, bowed down and said with an embarrassed expression. Although he knew that this was not his responsibility, he could not avoid being blamed for not stopping it in advance. The Fifth Grand Elder's expression was ugly. He took a deep breath as if to calm the struggle in his heart and then said, "Forget it, this has nothing to do with you." Ninth limit. This kid actually broke through the ninth limit and exploded with power that his physical body could not bear. Crash. The Fifth Grand Elder's words caused the entire martial arts practice field to explode. Breaking through the ninth limit and exploding with power that exceeded one's physical body, what kind of concept was that? Fifth Grand Elder, my physical body is gone. Chen Hao's vital spirit said in extreme pain. It's fine if you don't want it. It seems that your physical body is the biggest obstacle to your improvement. The ninth limit. How many years has it been? In our Hunyuan sect in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, only a few people have been able to break through. Master, I'll help you reconstruct your golden body. The Fifth Grand Elder's immortal light enveloped Chen Hao's vital spirit and disappeared from the martial arts practice field. Master, the Fifth Grand Elder really took Li Mubai as his disciple. Wuxian will continue to write. Today he still exploded. Looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you. Chapter 952. Amazing. No wonder the Fifth Grand Elder took a fancy to him. He was able to break through the limit of the 9 limits when he unleashed his potential. This explosive power is too strong. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at with new eyes. Li Mubai's words yesterday were not boasting shamelessly. Even the top geniuses of our Hunyuan sect would find it difficult to achieve such an explosive power. This shows that his soul power and comprehension are extremely strong, but his body and bloodline origin are too weak. This is the reason why his combat strength is limited. The explosion just now broke through the limit of his strength and reached the 9 limits. As a result, the energy in his body was directly sucked dry, causing his body to collapse. Yes, the Fifth Grand Elder just said that he would help him reconstruct his golden body. With the Fifth Grand Elder's foundation, how can the reconstructed golden body be weak? It will definitely be stronger than the original one. That's for sure. However, the reconstruction of the golden body is still a reconstruction of the golden body after all. No matter how high the grade of the spiritual items used is, they are not the most compatible with his soul. Moreover, the most important thing is his own fusion ability. This is not something that the Fifth Grand Elder can help with. On this day, the news that Li Mubai had broken the limit of the 9 limits and destroyed his body spread throughout the Hunyuan sect. The top 20 geniuses of the Daluo Golden Wonderland were all slightly surprised and began to pay attention to this small matter that they had previously disdained. Some of the elders who knew the real reason why Li Mubai was able to obtain the right to enter the secret grotto heaven finally realized that the sect leader's decision to give this place to Li Mubai was not so random. After some of the Grand Elders received the news, they all inquired about Li Mubai's situation. A few of the Grand Elders who were on good terms with the Fifth Grand Elder directly went to congratulate him. The Fifth Grand Elder did not have a successor because he was too picky. He could not compete with the sect leader, the First Grand Elder, and some old fellows who had not appeared for a long time. Those who were slightly weaker than him were not worthy of his attention. This time he finally managed to snatch someone he was satisfied with. At this point, Li Mubai's strength was still far from the top dozens of masters in the Hunyuan sect, but no one doubted his qualification to enter the secret land. He had already become the Fifth Grand Elder's disciple. Just this point alone was enough to prove that he was not someone who was favored. Moreover, Li Mubai's progress in a short 300 years was indeed shocking. More importantly, he had triggered the 9 restrictions. This was something that no one had expected 2 days ago. Chi. Immortal rays were lingering deep inside the Fifth Great Elder's palace. Rules of Tao were rolling. Thick and pure chi of the heavens and earth lingered in the air. Chen Hao's primordial spirit was floating with his eyes closed. Fifth Grand Elder Tian Wanxiang sat cross-legged in front of Chen Hao's primordial spirit. Both of them frowned as they looked at the pile of black ash in front of them. Strange. It's really strange. A body that has clearly been destroyed into ashes still contains a weak vitality, and it's still gradually strengthening. What's going on? Fifth Grand Elder. Could it be that Mubai's body is not as simple as it looks? It's a kind of bloodline inheritance that we have never heard of? Tian Wanxiang scratched his head and cheeks in confusion. The reason why the fifth Grand Elder took back Chen Hao's destroyed body was to restore the vitality of his original bloodline with the supreme divine power. Then he would use it as a foundation to strengthen the original bloodline and transform it. This way, the reconstructed golden body would increase the degree of fusion between Li Mubai and it. Even if Li Mubai's original bloodline would definitely taint the powerful original bloodline that was added, it would be worth it. Otherwise, if the degree of fusion was too low, it would be very difficult for Chen Hao's body to grow in the future. Moreover, it might cause the spirit and body to be separated. That would be a serious problem. But what puzzled the fifth Grand Elder Tian Wanxiang was that the black ash of Li Mubai's body had already emitted an extremely weak vitality before the fifth Grand Elder took action. It's possible. Little Tian, you know Mubai's background, right? Of course I know. I raised him single-handedly. He's a father, a mother, and a master. He's the son of my elder brother's son's daughter. They're all very ordinary. To be able to produce a junior like Mubai, he's already a genius among the geniuses of my elder brother's bloodline. If that's the case, then it can only mean that Mubai's own bloodline's origin has mutated. To have collapsed to such an extent, there shouldn't be any vitality. But now it's emitting vitality and it's still slowly strengthening. This might be the true immortal bloodline's origin. Tian Wanxiang naturally knew what the true immortal bloodline's origin meant. It was a monster with an almost indestructible body. Unless its soul's origin was also destroyed, its body would be able to repair itself no matter what kind of damage it received. If his body doesn't collapse, I'm afraid he'll never be able to awaken. It's a blessing in disguise. What made Tian Wanxiang stare was that the fifth Grand Elder actually looked up to the sky and laughed loudly as he spoke. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of body my disciples will have after he breaks down and re-establishes himself. Tian Wanxiang was speechless at the fifth Grand Elder's my disciple, but of course he wouldn't refute. He said, Fifth Grand Elder, then, what should we do now? What should we do? We don't need to do anything. This vitality is still slowly growing. We just need to place Mubai's primordial spirit together with it and provide it with abundant spiritual qi of heaven and earth. When the body reorganizes itself, it will be a rebirth and self-evolution. The compatibility will be 100%. It's much better than reconstructing the golden body. It's true. I really didn't expect my disciple to have so many hidden talents. Fifth Grand Elder, you're still the best. If I didn't have an intersection with you this time, I'm afraid he would have been buried by me. It's good that you know. So, don't say that I stole your disciple. How can that be? It's Mubai's blessing to have a master like you, and it's also my blessing. Fifth Grand Elder. Mubai can be considered to have a bloodline inheritance relationship with me. My body hasn't collapsed yet. Do you think, if my body collapses, it's possible for the same situation to happen? I don't mind you trying. If you fail, I can give you my bloodline origin to help you reconstruct your golden body. Cough, cough, forget it. Although your bloodline origin is strong, if you can really absorb half of the golden body when you reconstruct it, it's already very high. And I'm already at the peak of Hongmeng. I don't have much potential to unearth. What a pity, what a pity. When I was young, why didn't I collapse once? Tian Wanxiang seemed to be regretful as he said. Chapter 953. No matter how strong the bloodline origin was and how powerful the divine sense of the person who reconstructed the golden body was, it was extremely difficult for the reconstructed golden body to obtain even 1/10 of the attributes of the bloodline origin. Otherwise, those legendary physiques would have become common goods that could be found everywhere on the streets. Alright, don't mention Mubai's bloodline origin to anyone for the time being. Just treat it as me reconstructing the golden body for him. Well, okay. In the Hunyuan sect, due to Li Mubai's strong rise and Zhang Chong's failure in his battle with Chen Hao, he took the initiative to challenge the disciples who were ranked at the top, triggering a competition among the genius disciples of the Daluo Golden Wonderland in advance. Everyone wanted to show their true strength and potential before the list was announced to increase their chances of being selected. In the end, only the top 20 geniuses remained calm and did not make a move. As long as there were no accidents, it was basically safe for them. There was no need for them to lower themselves to show off. Almost at the same time, the Daluo Golden Wonderland geniuses of the other top sects in the vast thousand chaotic world were also facing similar situations in the Hunyuan sect. However, this chaos had nothing to do with Chen Hao. He had successfully completed the second step of the purloining. The Sun Li Mubai's physical body had collapsed and his real body had been reconstructed. All of this had been planned by Chen Hao. Otherwise, when Chen Hao was fighting with Zhang Chong, he would not have provoked the other party so recklessly, even using the threat that he would become stronger in the future. What he wanted was to infuriate Zhang Chong so that he would deal a heavy blow. Then he would use the 9 restrictions which he could not control, to completely destroy Li Mubai's stinky body. However, before he destroyed it, he had fused his essence blood into Li Mubai's body. That was why his body, which had collapsed into slag, was emitting vitality and slowly strengthening. Of course, if it were anyone else doing this, it would undoubtedly be very dangerous. If they were not careful, even if they did not die, their soul would be severely injured. However, for someone like Chen Hao who could even achieve nirvana of his true self, there was no pressure at all. Ancient Chaos Great Thousand World 10 Square Territory. As the name implied, the 10 Direction Territory was under the joint control of the 10 galaxies. This also meant that no one could control it. This was the battlefield where the 10 major galaxies of the Ancient Chaos Great Thousand Realms clashed. It was also the most dangerous and cruel training ground under the Daluo Golden Wonderland in the Ancient Chaos Great Thousand Realms. It was dangerous and cruel. At any moment they could face the attacks of experts from other races or even their own race. They were constantly on the brink of death. However, there were also endless opportunities in the 10 Direction Territory, as well as the energy necessary for the Daluo Golden Wonderland to break through to the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm Hongmeng Qi, and the Mark of the Great World that could only be refined by experts in the Hongmeng realm. Daluo Zhou Xian in the Ancient Chaos Great Thousand Realms wanted to break through to the Hongmeng realm. The only choice was to enter the 10 Direction Territory to train. The human race's vast universe galaxy and the other 9 galaxies had jointly signed a supreme treaty. Here only cultivators below the Daluo Golden Wonderland could step into this place. If any party violated the treaty, they would be subject to the joint punishment of the 9 parties. Chi. Several streamers cut through the sky, tore the space barrier, and suddenly appeared in the space at the edge of the 10 Direction Territory. Immediately, as fast as lightning, they disappeared into a remote barren mountain. The streamers were not in the shape of humans but miniature flying machines. If Chen Hao saw this at this moment, he would definitely howl with excitement. Unfortunately, he was thousands of times more miserable than the cowherd and the weaver girl, so it was impossible for him to see it. The 10 Direction Territory. Hongmeng has just opened. The world here is indeed different. Finally, we're in. From today on, our Outyin will kill in the 10 Direction Territory. Watch me, Pan Long, comprehend Hongmeng Qi, obtain the Mark of the Great World, create a new world and trample on Hongmeng. I say, Brother Pan, can you keep a low profile? Do you think this is the vast universe galaxy? Do you think the boss is with us? Before we came, Uncle told us to be careful. Don't take it lightly. Fuck bug, can't I get excited? Boss, why did you mention boss? As Pan Long spoke, his rough and fierce face became extremely gloomy. His bell-like eyes, which were shining with excitement, dimmed at this moment. Senior brother. It's been 10,000 years. Where is senior brother now? When can we see him again? I'm sorry. Du Jing could not help but say this. As soon as he finished speaking, he regretted it. Unfortunately, it was too late. Pan Long had already become like this, let alone Chen Shui, Helian Wuxia and the others. For a moment, everyone who had just stepped into the 10 Direction Territory was silent. Chen Shui, Helian Wuxia, Long Ting, Tantai Lian, Xia Yu, Huan, and Lei Lei, all turned their faces away and looked up at the void as if they were looking through the Milky Way. It had been 10,000 years. Where was he? How was he now? In these 10,000 years they had experienced a lot. In addition to continuously praying for Chen Hao according to Yilan's request, they had been cultivating crazily to improve themselves. The wait was too long. Only by cultivating crazily could they temporarily put everything aside. Now, under the full cultivation of Yi Lan, Chen Wuliang, Han Mei, Shui Mei, and the others, they, Pan Long, Du Jing, Lan Feng, Li Yang, and Qin Ling, had all advanced to the peak of the late stage of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland. As long as they comprehended the Hongmeng Qi and obtained the Great World Mark, they could try to break the barrier and trigger the heavenly punishment. If they stepped into the Hongmeng realm, they could step out of the ancient chaos universe and search for Qin Hao's traces. Hu Mainyang and Bailey Ningbing had joined the Proud Heavens Association 10,000 years ago. Their relationship with the other girls was harmonious under the matchmaking of Han Mei and Shui Mei, the two true immortals. At this moment they had also come with the others. No one would come to the 10-direction territory alone, not even Hu Mainyang. Qin Hua and Qin Yan were extremely talented. Today, after 10,000 years, they had grown to the same realm as Qin Shui and the others. Moreover, their strength was not weak. Boss will definitely come back. Our Proud Heavens Association is getting stronger and stronger, and we're gathering more and more faith. Senior Yi already said that the faith we gathered is all gone. Naturally, it's connected to the 9 heavens and 10 lands and was accepted by Boss. So, we'd better focus on improving ourselves. When we step into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, if Boss doesn't come back, it'll be the time for us to set out together to find Boss. Du Jing was also in a bad mood, but he knew he could no longer keep silent. In the 10-direction territory, there were countless Daoyuo Golden Wonderland geniuses from the 10 major galaxies, as well as old guys who had been there for tens of thousands of years and specialized in cannibalism. Even if their team was strong, it was still very dangerous. Brother Pan, don't lose to me in the comprehension of Hongmeng Qi, Du Jing said with a faint smile. After he finished speaking, he turned into a ray of light, chose a direction and quickly flew away. In your dreams, Coiling Dragon said disdainfully. He collected himself and left quickly. When Qin Shui saw that the girls still didn't move, even though she wasn't in a good mood, she still directly blended into the universe and left first. 10,000 years. How long would it be for a man and a woman who were passionately in love who hadn't even started their true life as Dao companions? Unfortunately, they couldn't cut off their thoughts like Qin Hao and seal them. Unless it was to erase their memories, but they would never do that. It was a very simple thing for a freak like Qin Hao, but it wasn't something that others in the same realm could do. Qin Hao, who was still in the process of reconstructing his physical body, naturally didn't know the situation of the women and brothers and sisters in the endless Star River. He also didn't know that the space-time law of the Star River in the chaotic universe was very different from the Star River in the ancient chaos universe. From the battle with Xiao Yan until now, it had only been less than 1,000 years, but 10,000 years had passed in the vast universe galaxy. Fortunately, his relatives and friends were not ordinary people. Otherwise, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, no one knew how many times they would have died in the 6 paths of reincarnation. Half a month later, in the palace of the 5th Grand Elder. Formed. It's really fast. Even the reconstruction of the golden body is not so fast. Tian Wanxiang looked at the gradually clear human figure, rubbed his hands and said excitedly. But suddenly he made a strange sound of surprise. What's wrong? The 5th Grand Elder frowned. 5th Grand Elder, look carefully. The nose that pops out has already formed. It seems a little wrong. Hearing Tian Wanxiang's words, the 5th Grand Elder was slightly stunned. He really didn't pay attention to the appearance. Looking carefully, the nose had indeed become much higher than the original slightly flat nose of Li Mubai. There's nothing strange. After the mutation of the bloodline origin, it's not strange that his appearance has changed as long as he doesn't become a woman. I don't have the habit of accepting female disciples. But that's true. I do want to accept female disciples, but unfortunately, the talented female disciples don't follow me. Little Tian, you're an elder, don't tell me you still have other thoughts. I didn't before, but now I do. In my Tian family, my elder brother's bloodline has already withered to the point that there's no one left. But Mubai's bloodline origin actually hides such an amazing physique. Maybe, if I die and reproduce a few generations, maybe there'll be another Mubai. Then I'll be satisfied. The 5th Grand Elder was completely defeated by Tian Wanxiang. Another 3 days later, Qin Hao's body finally formed completely. What made the 5th Grand Elder and Tian Wanxiang shocked and happy was that this body was simply the most perfect one they had ever seen. There wasn't a trace of flaw on the whole body. The body was slender, the lines were well-proportioned and beautiful, the key parts were quite masculine, and the appearance was a rare handsome man. The most important thing was that the bloodline chi contained in this body was really majestic to an amazing degree. Compared to this, Li Mubai's body was simply trash. What a disaster. Fifth Grand Elder, this guy's change is too amazing, isn't it? We're both men, but it makes me envious. In addition, with Mubai's current talent, isn't he a female killer? What do you mean? Right at this moment, Qin Hao scoffed as he suddenly stood up, and he looked at Tian Wanxiang with a puzzled expression as he asked. Obviously, his primordial spirit and body had been completely integrated, without the slightest barrier, and there was no need for time to adapt. Look at yourself. Tian Wanxiang directly sent out a stream of energy which condensed into a mirror. Ah, when Qin Hao saw this, he immediately let out a cry of surprise. This is me? Disciple, quickly put on your clothes. Your current appearance is quite similar to your master's demeanor in the past. Very good, very good. The fifth Grand Elder looked at Qin Hao's dark and deep eyes, which were as bright as stars, and was very satisfied. Just this appearance alone could be called a dragon or phoenix among men. Chapter 955. The fifth elder's words made Tian Wanxiang's old face twitch. This was obviously his style back then, okay? In any case, there was a bit of bloodline inheritance between them. Phew, so comfortable. With a flash between his eyebrows, Qin Hao took out Li Mubai's robe and put it on. Feeling the comfortable feeling that came from his original body that was completely compatible with his soul, he could not help but say. Then he frowned slightly and said, Fifth? Master, what's going on with me? I feel that my physical body is unprecedentedly strong. My true essence, chi and spirit have more than doubled. Now, my battle strength may increase by several times. That's only natural. This is the evolution of your bloodline source. It's a true rebirth, a cleansing of your meridians and marrow. Your physical body is much stronger than before, and this is only in the state of rebirth. After you temper yourself for a period of time, you'll become even stronger. Before, your soul and comprehension were far superior to your physical body. They were restricted and limited your progress. Now, your physical body has evolved to the point where it is perfectly compatible with your soul. In a short period of time, your strength will increase greatly. Oh, thank you, Master. What are you thanking me for? This is all because of your own body. Go to my mental world and choose a set of soft armor and a few weapons. I will use my mind to help you familiarize yourself with your current strength. Tomorrow I will officially accept you as my disciple. While Tianxiang, you should also help Mubai familiarize himself with his strength. Yes, fifth elder. Tian Wanxiang said with a slightly excited expression. The fifth elder did not call him Shao Tian this time. Obviously, he had officially recognized his existence. This was completely due to his disciple's glory. Moreover, the fifth elder allowed him to enter his mental world. Naturally, it was not as simple as helping Li Mubai familiarize himself with his strength. A hole opened between the fifth Grand Elder's eyebrows. Qin Hao and Tian Wanxiang immediately turned into two streams of light and entered the fifth Grand Elder's mind world. No way. So many. Qin Hao and Tian Wanxiang directly appeared in a palace in the fifth Grand Elder's mind. What entered his eyes was a dazzling array of magic treasures. Any one of them was at the level of a divine tool. Sabers, spears, swords, staffs, gourds, pagoda tablets, silk nets, bells, drums, soft armor, gloves, whips, and other divine magic treasures overflowed with light as they floated quietly in the palace. Even Qin Hao, who possessed a large treasury, could not help but sigh at the powerful foundation of a true immortal expert. Without a doubt, this was only the warehouse of divine magic treasures for him to choose from. It was probably only the tip of the iceberg of the fifth Grand Elder's collection. On the other hand, Tian Wanxiang's eyes widened in shock. This guy was a peak expert in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. These sacred artifacts, even if they were supreme-grade sacred artifacts, were not very attractive to him. However, the number of sacred artifacts made him envious. Tian Wanxiang said, Disciple, you have to choose carefully. There are many superior sacred artifacts here. They will be very important before you reach the middle stage of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Yes, master. There's no need. You just need to choose the most suitable for your current use. You can come in and exchange for master's things at any time. This was originally prepared for you. When you advance to the Hongmeng realm, it will be easy for master to get some pseudo-mortal artifacts from you. Of course, don't be fooled by the magic treasures. Your own cultivation is the most important at all times. At this moment, the fifth Grand Elder, who was manifested by his divine sense, also appeared beside the two of them and said, Yes, master. In the future call me master. Call Xianxia master. The fifth Grand Elder said with a slight smile. He had snatched Xianxia's disciple. This was something that could not be changed no matter what. Moreover, he could also see that Xianxia and Li Mubai had a very good master-disciple relationship. They could even be considered to have a little bloodline inheritance. Therefore, he could not treat Xianxia unfairly. In fact, it was almost the same as taking in two disciples. However, Xianxia could only give a few pointers as a junior. Yes, master. Qin Hao responded respectfully. After he finished speaking, his eyes flickered, and he quickly walked toward a golden spear that was emitting a strong murderous aura. The fifth Grand Elder did not think much of it. However, Xianxia was slightly surprised. Li Mubai mainly cultivated the law of magical powers. He was not interested in weapons. The only thing he was best at was swords. Moreover, he did not like magic treasures with a strong murderous aura. However, at this moment, Qin Hao's gaze was directed at the long spear that was blooming with a strong murderous aura. That's true. Previously, this kid was limited by his own strength and did not like weapons with a strong murderous aura. Now that he has been reborn and has the support of the fifth Grand Elder, he has to be more high profile. Xianxia thought in his heart. Immediately, he carefully sized up the golden spear. The spear was 2.6 meters long and was completely golden. However, the spearhead was surging with a strong blood aura. The spear soul was like a bloodthirsty monster, circulating in the golden light. The tip of the spear was blood red, emitting a cold light in all directions. The surrounding magic treasures emitted a treasure aura that seemed to automatically avoid the spear aura. It was quite a domineering king's aura. This golden spear is called the Overlord Spear. I obtained it in an ancient ruin. The spear soul is extremely domineering and has not been destroyed for hundreds of millions of years. I don't know how many massacres it has experienced to give birth to such a murderous spear soul. If it recognizes you as its master, you can obtain the Overlord Spear technique contained in it. When combined with the spear itself, the power will increase by more than 30%. Why have you taken a fancy to this spear? Yes, master. Disciple lacked sharpness before. Now that master has enlightened me, my body and soul have improved. The aura of this spear is exactly what disciple needs. Oh? Then you can give it a try. Subdue it first and then recognize it as its master. The fifth Grand Elder said. A divine weapon with a weapon soul, if it was an ownerless item, could be refined with a drop of blood and it would recognize its master and be used. However, if one wanted to use it before it recognized its master, it would not be so simple. One could only rely on one's own will and strength to subdue the weapon soul and activate it. After subduing it and recognizing it as its master, the compatibility between the divine weapon and its master would be much stronger than directly refining it with a drop of blood. Good. A violent and fierce aura suddenly gushed out from between Qin Hao's brows. His essence, energy, spirit, true essence, fleshly body, pressure, and will press down towards the Overlord Spear that was floating in the air. Boom. At this moment, the Overlord Spear suddenly released a strong killing intent. A blood-red spear light surged out, trying to resist Qin Hao's control. What a powerful spear soul. At this time, Xianxia was surprised. Even he did not expect that the spear soul could burst out with such a powerful killing intent. In an instant he seemed to see countless spear lights piercing towards Qin Hao. The fifth Grand Elder also looked at it with bright eyes. He was very clear about this Overlord Spear. When he tamed it and brought it back, it took him a lot of effort. If he wanted to tame it, he had to stimulate a killing intent that was not inferior to the Overlord Spear, or an indestructible will. Besides these 2 points, true essence and soul force were useless. He was looking forward to how long it would take for his new disciple to subdue it. Today is still the same. Looking for monthly votes. We are moving forward. Brothers and sisters, Can you put in more effort? Thank you. Chapter 956. What a strong will to massacre. After a short contact, Qin Hao thought to himself in surprise and excitement. The reason why he took a fancy to this overlord spear was because of the strong murderous aura it emitted. Although the sky-stealing sun-swapping had succeeded, he still needed to change Tian Wanxiang and the fifth Grand Elder's perception of him bit by bit through various methods if he wanted to truly display his true strength without restraint. He could not display it too suddenly or too exaggeratedly. Moreover, more importantly, the real aura of his original body was only at the early stage of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. The aura he released now was completely fused with Li Mubai's soul origin. If he was not careful, it would collapse. In the entire world of cultivation, it was inevitable to increase one's realm. If one's realm regressed, it would be abnormal. The key was that it was even more impossible to increase one's strength while regressing. If Qin Hao was unable to fully display the power of his original body, it was basically impossible for him to increase his own realm. This was also what Qin Hao needed to do first. Compared to when I was in the heavenly immortal stage, he is much stronger. How much killing did he have to go through to refine the spear soul to such a level? Qin Hao became more and more excited. He really wanted to try if his current will to massacre could suppress it, but unfortunately, the previous Li Mubai was a coward who bullied the weak and feared the strong. It was impossible for him to have such a strong will to massacre. Therefore, Qin Hao could only use his indestructible will of soul to resist the will to massacre step by step and subdue it. Understanding this point, Qin Hao immediately retracted his true essence and spirit. Only the space between his eyebrows shone brightly as he steadily approached the overlord's spear. At the same time, he also changed the expression on his face appropriately. He did not appear too relaxed or too difficult. In one breath, he resisted the terrifying murderous aura and walked to the side of the overlord's spear. The moment Qin Hao stretched out his hand to grab the spearhead and spearhead suddenly exploded with a bang, releasing a sound that sounded like the wailing of ghosts and howling of wolves. At this moment, Qin Hao seemed to see the scene of corpses strewn all over the ground and blood flowing like a river. Even his mind was slightly shaken. Qin Hao naturally could easily break through it, but he didn't do so. Instead, he chose to temporarily merge with it. His eyes also became dull in an instant, as if he was attracted by the killing intent that bloomed. Just as the fifth Grand Elder Tian Wanxiang held his breath and waited for a few seconds, Qin Hao let out a cold snort. The space between his eyebrows and both of his eyes blossomed with a resplendent light at the same time, and his eyes regained their clarity. At this moment, all of the phenomena released by the Overlord's spear disappeared, and it was obediently held in Qin Hao's hands. Qin Hao thrust out his spear lightly. The spear light flickered and a blood-red waterfall exploded in front of Xiao Chen's eyes. Good spear! Qin Hao exclaimed excitedly. On the other hand, the fifth Grand Elder was slightly stunned. It was done so easily. The corner of his mouth twitched and he resisted the urge to show it. Not bad, it seems like this Overlord spear is quite suitable for you. Recognize it as your master. Once you obtain the Overlord spear arts contained within, you will be like a tiger that has grown wings. Master, there's no rush. I'll pick another sword and a pair of gloves. You brat. Alright, up to you. Fifth Grand Elder, is it because Mubai's willpower is too strong, or is this Overlord spear just terrifying on the surface, but ordinary in reality? When Qin Hao walked towards a treasured sword, Tian Wanxiang asked through sound transmission. He had not personally tried it, so he naturally did not know the true situation of the Overlord's spear. He always felt that the process of his disciples subduing was a little too easy. When I obtained it back then, I was also at the peak of the late stage of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, and the process of subduing it took me a full hour. What do you think of it? Mubai, it's lucky that I met this brat. Otherwise he would have been buried by you. Cough cough. That's right, that's right. Tian Wanxiang was shocked. He awkwardly avoided the fifth Grand Elder's intimidating gaze and looked at his precious disciple again. Damn, when the fifth Grand Elder was at the same level he took an hour, but this brat only took a few minutes. What kind of concept was this? The fifth Grand Elder was a super genius who had advanced to the cutting Dao True Immortal level. Even among the cutting Dao true immortals, he was an extremely powerful existence. How strong was his talent back then? However, his disciple, who was still an ordinary mess more than 100 years ago, had actually displayed willpower that surpassed that of the fifth Grand Elder back then. Tian Wanxiang could not help but be shocked and ashamed at the same time. Indeed, without the fifth Grand Elder, Li Mubai might still be immersed in a muddle-headed state and would not be ranked at all in the Hunyuan sect. Qin Hao quickly chose a supreme-grade sacred artifact sword and a pair of scarlet gloves that radiated cold light. Its aura was very similar to that of the Overlord's spear, and it also contained a weapon soul. However, it was not very powerful and Qin Hao easily subdued it. Choose another set of soft armor, the fifth Grand Elder said. Master, I don't need the soft armor. My physical body has been recondensed and needs to be tempered. Moreover, I have such a powerful bloodline mutation, so I don't have to worry about anything. Well said. However, I don't want you to use it now. I just want you to refine it in advance. My expectations for you now are not limited to the secret realm and the grotto heaven. In the secret realm and the grotto heaven, as long as you can advance to the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, you will obtain 20 places to directly enter the Holy Land of the Immortal Sutra. I want you to enter the Holy Land of the Immortal Sutra. At that time you will face the top geniuses of the entire chaotic universe. The fifth Grand Elder said with an impassioned look. Before Li Mubai's physical body was destroyed, this was something that he had never even thought about. His greatest wish was for Li Mubai to be able to improve greatly in the secret realm and advance to the full circle realm. Moreover, he would also be able to obtain the qualifications of the 20 people promised by the sect master. At that time, it would be an eye-opener in the final competition. But now he didn't think so. Although the hope was still not great, after all, Li Mubai awakened too late and there was not much time left. It was definitely not an eye-opener. Maybe there was hope. Yes, master. I will do my best. Qin Hao was practicing with Tian Wanxiang and the fifth Grand Elder's mind incarnation. When he was practicing wholeheartedly in the fifth Grand Elder's mind world, the 30 places of the Hunyuan sect's secret realm and the grotto heaven were also announced. Qin Hao was on the list and he was ranked 27th. Such a result made many people stare blankly. But the fifth Grand Elder was disdainful. 27. Not to mention a few months later when the secret realm and grotto heaven opened, even now Qin Hao's combat power could be ranked in the top 3 or 4 places, and this was a conservative estimate. Of course, the fifth Grand Elder naturally wouldn't show it. He was looking forward to his disciple once again, to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. And a Zhangchong entered. 30th place, In front of the name list on the pagoda stele, the nervous Zhang Chong saw that his name was at the bottom of the list. He began to laugh wildly in excitement. In the past month he had been crazily challenging people. Finally there was an effect. Chapter 957. Li Mubai is ranked 27th. This is a comprehensive ranking not just based on combat strength. Li Mubai has improved so much in just a few hundred years. The last time he fought with Zhang Chong he even triggered the 9 restrictions, so it's normal for him to be ranked 27th. But his physical body is very weak and has already collapsed. Even if the 5th Grand Elder helped him reconstruct his golden body, it will become a factor that restricts him when he reaches the Hongmeng realm. Well, the 5th Grand Elder is not our teacher, but a top expert among the cutting Dao perfected immortals. He definitely has a way to improve his compatibility with his physical body. Zhang Chong was selected this time but not the next time. But Li Mubai. Unless he breaks through to the Hongmeng realm he will definitely dominate for 1,000 years. After all, with his combat strength, it is impossible for him to qualify for the Holy Land of the Immortals Scripture within 1,000 years. When he qualifies for the Holy Land of the Immortals Scripture, as long as he can comprehend a little, he will not be excluded. Our Hunyuan sect will basically become the 21 sects occupying the secret grotto heaven for a long time, unless they don't want to enter. The Holy Land of the Immortals Scripture opened once every 10 years, and 1,000 people could enter each time. This was for Daluo Jingxian in the entire vast thousand chaotic world. It was definitely an extremely low ratio of 1 in 100 million. If it was just this, it would be fine. Every time 1,000 people entered, at least 900 of them were old fellows who had entered before or even several times. Every 10 years, as long as you obtained the qualification with your own strength, you could enter. Of course, if the cultivators who entered did not have any comprehension of the immortal scripture, they would be directly excluded from the sect and would not be qualified to enter in the future. But as long as they had a little comprehension, they could participate in the competition. It was also because of the existence of this rule that very little new blood entered the holy land of the immortal scripture every 10 years. In the entire vast thousand chaotic world, the only cultivators who could enter in their lifetime were the top geniuses of the generation. The Hunyuan sect's secret grotto heaven was originally established for the holy land of the immortal scripture, so the model was naturally the same. The reason why the top 20 were said to be unshakable was because 20 of them had entered the secret realm at least twice. The top 5 had even entered the sacred land of the immortal scripture. Who could shake it? Because of this, only a few newcomers such as Li Mubai and Zhang Chong received the most attention. A few months after the announcement of the name list, although it was much quieter than the previous month, it did not quiet down. Zhang Chong and a few disciples who were lucky enough to get 30 places received several challenges one after another. It was no less than the situation when people wanted to force Chen Hao to voluntarily give up his place. However, no one challenged Li Mubai this time. Li Mubai hadn't relied on his battle prowess. This had been publicly acknowledged after he triggered the 9 restrictions. Challenging him even if he could win would be meaningless. Half a year's time had finally passed. On this day, in the deepest part of the Daluo Jingxian Palace district, there was a sea of people. This was the day when the secret realm's grotto heaven would open. The 30 people inside would come out and Chen Hao and the other 30 people would enter. Of the 30 people who came out, 20 would directly rush to the sacred land of the immortal scripture to prepare to participate in the final competition of the sacred land of the immortal scripture. The other 10 people would have to register themselves and go through layers of selection. Of the 30 people who came out and the 30 who were going in, close to 50 of them would dominate the secret realm's grotto heaven for a long time. They could also be said to be the top 50 people in the Hunyuan sect. Disciple, the time has come. Today is the day you enter the secret realm's grotto heaven. For the time being, put aside the unique skills I taught you. After you enter the secret realm's heavenly access, concentrate on comprehending the Tao marks in it. Strive to obtain a place in the final competition of the sacred land of the immortal scripture with your strength, not the sect leader's promise. Yes, master. With a flash of light, Chen Hao, dressed in a blue robe, stepped out of the 5th Grand Elder's mind for the first time after cultivating in seclusion for a few months. His tall and slender figure and handsome appearance made him look otherworldly. The cold light that flashed in his eyes inadvertently contained a soul-stirring power. Less than half a year's time was just the snap of a finger for the masters of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. However, the present Li Mubai was completely different from the Li Mubai of half a year ago. Let's go, master will take you there. The 5th Grand Elder said with a gratified expression. Master, I can go there myself. How can that be? With your current appearance and aura, no one will believe that you are Li Mubai. You will definitely be caught, huh? That's true. Chen Hao smiled. The next moment, the 5th Grand Elder and Chen Hao appeared on the towering mountain where the secret realm's grotto heaven was located. Greetings, 5th Grand Elder. Immediately, the 10 elders in charge of the secret realm's grotto heaven cupped their fists and bowed. They were all surprised. Who was this young man that the 5th Grand Elder had brought? At the same time, the appearance of the 5th Grand Elder attracted the attention of the cultivators who had been watching the show. They all bowed and stared curiously at Chen Hao. No need to be so polite, I'm just escorting Mubai here. Disciple Li Mubai greets the 5th Grand Elder. Chen Hao hurriedly bowed to the 5th Grand Elder. The 5th Grand Elder represented the Hunyuan sect in charge of the secret realm's grotto heaven. They were extremely senior and belonged to the top elders of the Hunyuan sect who had retired behind the scenes. Apart from the secret realm's grotto heaven, they no longer cared about the sect's affairs. Crash, ah? No way. Chen Hao's words undoubtedly revealed his identity. This was great, it directly caused a huge uproar. No one would have thought that the young man in front of them was Li Mubai. When the golden body was reconstructed, There was a possibility that one's appearance and aura would change, but it would not change too much. But now was this still the Li Mubai of the past? He was a completely different person. This was absolutely inconceivable. It also caused everyone, including the 5 elders, to be shocked. Just what kind of powerful bloodline origin did the 5th Grand Elder use to change Li Mubai so thoroughly that not even the slightest shadow of his previous self could be found? The 5th Grand Elder is really resourceful. Incredible, incredible, you flatter me. The 5th Grand Elder smiled slightly. After that, he looked at the Secret Realm's Grotto Heaven's entrance and the figure sitting cross-legged like a statue. Although the other party seemed to be in meditation and did not move at all, what surprised Xianxia was that the 5th Grand Elder actually cupped his fists and nodded slightly to him before disappearing in front of the crowd. In Li Mubai's memory, the 5th Grand Elder did not belong to the Hunyuan sect, and no one knew what his cultivation level was. They only knew that the 5th Grand Elder represented the sacred land of the Immortals' scriptures. Every time the Hunyuan sect's Secret Realm's Grotto Heaven opened, he would come and directly choose 10 out of the 30 people who would come out of the Secret Realm's Grotto Heaven to qualify for the final competition. The other 10 would be chosen by the 5th Grand Elder of the Hunyuan sect. After that, he would leave with the other 20 people. Previously, the 5th Grand Elder had asked Xianxia to fight for a spot in the final competition with his own strength. In reality, it was to let Xianxia be chosen by the 5th Grand Elder and not be chosen by the 5th Grand Elder of the Hunyuan sect. Chapter 958. Is this really Li Mubai? Many pairs of eyes fell on Li Mubai, filled with disbelief and surprise. At this moment, Li Mubai, whether it was the aura emitted from his body or his handsome and elegant appearance, was an eye-catching existence. His handsome face, eyes that were as bright as the stars, tall and slender body, and his boundless vitality and essence, energy and spirit were all astonishing. Some young cultivators who had always been conceited about their handsome appearances, looked at Xianxia with eyes full of jealousy. The eyes of the female cultivators became much brighter. Mubai, Qi. A figure, after hesitating for a long time, finally summoned the courage to fly to Xianxia's side. Her eyes flickered and her expression was a little excited and nervous. Congratulations, you have obtained the qualification to enter the secret zone. Thank you, Xianxia frowned slightly and said lightly. This was a cultivator at the peak of the late stage of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, who could be called a beauty. Li Mubai had a deep impression of her. Li Mubai had pursued her for a long time but there was no progress. In the end he was humiliated and completely gave up. In the past, the previous Li Mubai is already dead. Xianxia's expression was indifferent. Although it was not cold, it contained a coldness that kept people 1,000 miles away. What kind of joke was this? Not to mention that he was the fake Li Mubai. Even if it was the real Li Mubai with his current progress, he would not hesitate to slap the face back. The girl's face was red and she wished she could find a hole to hide in. She had summoned all her courage to come here at this time. Although she did not expect to be able to redeem herself, she was still confident that Li Mubai still liked her. After all, this guy had pursued her for more than 1,000 years. But she did not expect that she would be directly interrupted by the other party before she could even finish her opening remarks. I'm sorry. The girl lowered her head and said in a low voice. Her heart was filled with anger and bitterness. Who would have thought that someone similar to him would become a top genius disciple of the Hunyuan sect in just a few hundred years? If she had foresight, she would have hugged his legs and refused to let go. Unfortunately, she didn't. Amidst the buzzing of the crowd, the girl's face was burning. Under the gazes of countless people, she hurriedly left. She knew that she had lost all her face today. Li Mubai. What Xianxia didn't expect was that just as he helped Li Mubai vent his anger, a cold voice sounded out again. It was Zhang Chong. I will challenge you again. You're welcome anytime. I hope the mystic realm will come out. Oh no, I mean the end of the Immortal Sutra Sacred Land. You still have the courage to say this. Xianxia still had a faint smile on his face as he spoke with an indifferent and arrogant expression. You despicable man. You must have obtained some powerful opportunity. I'd like to see how long you can maintain this speed of improvement. You really think you're a top genius. Just you wait. Zhang Chong almost choked to death. He was filled with anger towards Li Mubai. He really didn't expect that Li Mubai, who had turned over a new leaf, would become so arrogant and show off his ability. In fact, not only Zhang Chong but countless cultivators present felt that the current Li Mubai, whether it was his expression, tone or words, were too arrogant. In their eyes, Li Mubai was like an upstart who had gotten lucky. If he kept a low profile, perhaps everyone would be able to accept it and praise his good luck. But he actually thought of himself as a monstrous genius. What was there to be arrogant about? I'll wait. Chen Hao ignored everyone's gazes. It's noon. Then, chi 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 chi. At this moment the 5 old antique elders suddenly shouted softly. At the same time they raised a token engraved with mysterious runes. As soon as the 5 tokens appeared, they rose into the void and bloomed with brilliant light. It was as if a space-time door had opened and was directly connected to the sealed entrance of the secret realm. Soon after, a rumbling sound could be heard. A strong and pure wave of spiritual qi burst out from the cave. 30 figures sitting with their legs crossed opened their eyes as if they had been teleported out from the cave. In an instant, the area within a radius of 10,000 miles was enveloped by 30 powerful auras. What a strong guy! Even Chen Hao was shocked. Among the 30 people, at least 5 of them gave Chen Hao a strong sense of danger. He was certain that it was not something he could contend against at the moment. Chi 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 chi. At this moment, beams of flowing light suddenly streaked across the void. 20 figures with equally powerful auras arrived at lightning speed. These 20 figures were the old men who were going to enter the secret realm with Chen Hao, Zhang Chong and the rest of the 10 people. 20 gazes paused on Chen Hao's body for a moment, seemingly intentionally or unintentionally. Phew, he sex. At this moment, the old man who looked like a statue suddenly stretched his back, shook his messy head and said something inexplicable. Saint Envoy. 30 people have come out of seclusion. Please take a look and choose. How many times? More than 10 times? Oh, this is the 38th time? The old man's gaze fell on the 30 cultivators who had just come out. At the same time, a mysterious aura enveloped the 30 people. He shook his head like a rattle drum, looked at them again and finally pointed at them. You and you. It's the 10 of you. The disciples who were pointed at immediately looked excited, especially one of the newcomers who had thought that there was no hope at all. He was even more excited. The young man with the strongest aura, who had been pointed out by the old man as the 38th time, was not chosen by the old man. He looked a little embarrassed. Although he knew that the 5 elders of the sect would definitely choose him, it was still a very shameful thing. Although you are very strong, it's the 38th time. The amount of comprehension you have gained is really very little. Even if you can participate this time, the old man suggests that you break through when it's time to do so. The 3 great immortal sutras are not necessarily something that can be comprehended with high comprehension and strength. It also depends on fate. The old man looked at the embarrassed young man and said, intentionally or unintentionally. Yes, senior. All right, you can choose 10, the old man said to the 5 elders. Soon the 10 people were chosen by the 5 elders. The person with the strongest aura was naturally among them. In fact, this was also for the sake of the sect's reputation. Among the 20 people, there were at most 3 or 4 people in the Hunyuan sect who could really enter the Immortal Sutra land, and they were basically all old men. Even if they knew that very little of them had comprehended the Immortal Sutra, they still had to let them qualify. Otherwise, it would be good enough if even one person from the Hunyuan sect could enter. If that really happened, the Hunyuan sect as one of the top sects would be too embarrassing. Chapter 959. Buzz. The old man waved his hand casually, and a spatial door was formed without any energy ripples. Immediately, the old man and the 20 top geniuses who had obtained the qualification to compete in the final round disappeared from everyone's sight. Although Li Mubai had seen it many times, Chen Hao was still shocked when he saw it with his own eyes. What kind of cultivation was required to do that? No wonder the 5th Grand Elder Master bowed to him. The Saint Envoy, the envoy of the sacred ground of the Immortal Sutra, is so powerful. How powerful is the person who controls it? Chen Hao could not imagine. Even if I'm not chosen, I'll fight my way to the sacred ground of the Immortal Sutra with my own strength. Yes, let's go and register together. Buzz 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 buzz. The remaining 10 people gathered their emotions and quickly disappeared from everyone's sight with a strong fighting spirit. Now the 30 disciples who have obtained the right to enter the secret grotto heaven, please enter immediately for 10 years. I hope you will try your best to comprehend it. No one is allowed to fight or disturb other people's cultivation. Violators will be expelled from the grotto heaven and will never be allowed to enter again. Yes. Buzz 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 buzz. Streams of light streaked past as the 30 people impatiently rushed in. Even Xianxia was no exception. The secret grotto heaven was engraved with the comprehension of the 3 great immortal sutras of the Hunyuan sect. What kind of existence was it? Xianxia was looking forward to it. Buzz. The moment he passed through the entrance, Xianxia clearly felt a strong aura of the law of space-time. Then he appeared in a huge space with no end in sight. It condensed into a void and there were many pagoda steels. From the surroundings to the core, the small pagoda steels became bigger, but even the smallest one was like a towering mountain. Even with Xianxia's powerful soul perception, it was blocked by the mysterious pressure released by the pagoda steels and could not penetrate. What a terrifying pressure! What pure spiritual chi of heaven and earth! Xianxia's face shone with strong shock and excitement. This was something that Li Mubai could not come into contact with before. It was also a sacred ground that 99% of the disciples in the Hunyuan sect could not come into contact with. Bang! Bang bang! This pressure is actually so terrifying. At this moment, what made Xianxia slightly surprised was that among the disciples who had entered with him, Zhang Chong and the other 3 newcomers who had entered for the first time, were caught off guard and were actually bound by the terrifying pressure and directly fell to the ground. At this time, most of the old people who came and looked at Xianxia with slight surprise. It wasn't strange for him to fall to the ground during his first time in a grotto heaven. It would be strange if he didn't fall to the ground. There's nothing strange about it. He's the direct disciple of the 5th Grand Elder. He's the successor of the 5th Grand Elder's legacy. Naturally, he would have received guidance from the 5th Grand Elder before coming here. However, this Li Mubai has indeed been reborn. He's not much worse than us now. For I'll see you in 10 years. A young man with a powerful aura noticed that everyone was looking at Xianxia in surprise. He said lightly and proudly. After that, he quickly flew into the depths of the secret realm. That's true. Everyone goodbye. Chi 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 chi. Immediately, more than 10 people quickly left. These people were all extremely arrogant, like proud peacocks. Even though Xianxia and the other newcomers were present, they ignored them and talked among themselves. They didn't have the slightest intention of making friends with them. However, there was a young woman who saw Xianxia looking at them. She nodded slightly at Xianxia but didn't say anything more and flashed away. Isn't it just a reminder from a genuine immortal master? What's so great about that? Zhang Chong thought disdainfully and quickly approached the pagoda monument. The others didn't dare to delay and gathered their energy to resist the pressure of the pagoda monument's Tao mark. They excitedly left. One of the young women also nodded slightly at him. It had to be said that once this guy regained his original appearance and aura, he was terrifyingly popular with women. This wasn't just because he was too handsome and talented. More importantly, it was because of his legendary luck with women. Unfortunately, Xianxia didn't have any feelings for women at this moment. After crossing the sea, water couldn't be considered water. Apart from Mount Wu, clouds couldn't be considered clouds. When he cut off his love and sealed it, he also sealed all his love with extreme sincerity. He threw away all his desires and pursued the peak of martial arts, returning to the ancient chaotic universe. Taking a deep breath, Xianxia abruptly gathered his spirit, soul and soul perception to the peak in an instant. 10 years. With the support of the space-time law, he would cultivate here for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. No matter how confident Xianxia was, he knew that it was far from enough to comprehend the Tao mark of the Immortal Sutra that all the cultivators in the ancient chaotic universe scrambled for. Even if this wasn't the real Immortal Sutra and was just a Tao mark left by the sect's experts based on their own comprehension, it was still not that simple. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many top geniuses who entered again and again. Especially that guy who just went out. He actually entered 38 times. The more central the pagoda monument is, the more powerful the Tao mark is, and the more profound the Immortal Sutra's mysteries it contains. However, since these outermost pagoda monuments exist, there must be a reason for their existence. 1,000 people's 1,000 solutions are all different. I'll start from the simple ones. Qin Hao looked at the other people, including Zhang Chong and the other newcomers, who all arrogantly jumped over the outermost pagoda monuments. He seemed to be deep in thought. In the end, he didn't listen to the fifth Supreme Elder's suggestion to choose a pagoda monument with an appropriate pressure. Instead, he started from the simplest one. He should at least understand it first before making a decision. I'll go deeper. I definitely can't lose to Li Mubai. What was different from Qin Hao was that when Zhang Chong reached his limit, he still gritted his teeth and went deeper into the pagoda monuments. This was definitely the time to test one's cultivation. In fact, in everyone's opinion, when they reached their limit, they could sharpen their willpower and stimulate their soul's potential. They could also comprehend more powerful Tao marks, so the deeper they went, the better. The other newcomers also had the same mindset of competing with each other. Especially when they saw that the 20 over-experts who had entered this place many times had already disappeared into the depths. They gritted their teeth and tried their best to get closer. At least the gap couldn't be too big. Damn, so he stopped long ago? As expected, he received the fifth Supreme Elder's reminder. But he shouldn't be so weak. I've already reached the 4th level, he should at least be able to reach the 3rd level, right? When Zhang Chong reached the 4th level with great difficulty, he finally stopped. If he continued to advance, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to split his attention to comprehend the mysteries of the pagoda monuments. At this time, what made him surprised was that Li Mubai actually stopped in front of the outermost pagoda monument and entered a state of comprehension. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.